We here on 5 Live will have full commentary of the British Grand Prix at 3 o'clock. So let's head to Silverstone to speak to commentator Harry Benjamin and former British F1 driver Jolyon Palmer. Good afternoon to you both. And Harry, I believe that a record crowd is expected this afternoon at Silverstone.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking well north of half a million across the weekend. About 160,000 people just here on the Sunday. The event gets bigger every single year. Just when you think it's peaked, they go and do it again 12 months later. We're in the paddock right now, which is awash with famous faces, with fans and with teams gearing up ahead of the British Grand Prix.
Jolyon, a large number of the people there today, they want a British winner. We've got 5 Brits on the grid. What are their chances? Just sort of set up how they're starting and how you're feeling about who could come through.
Yeah, I do feel the British crowd have been pretty spoiled in recent years. Lewis Hamilton has done such an amazing job at winning many of them. He's taken 9 Grand Prix wins at Silverstone. Lando Norris got the win last year, and they're both going to be contenders today as well. You've got Kimi Antonelli on pole position. He's the big fly in the ointment, or the little fly in the ointment for the 19-year-old Italian. But he's really, really quick in the Mercedes, so he looks good. Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton's teammate, out-qualified him yesterday, but has been a bit on the back foot recently. He's second. Then you've got Hamilton and Russell. George Russell, the championship favourite at the start of the year, British driver for Mercedes, is 4th, with Lewis Hamilton 3rd. Lando Norris is 6th, and they're your 3 British hopefuls. I think overall there's a huge cheer for Lewis Hamilton, and he's been on great form. Got to do a bit of work, though, in today's race for 3rd on the grid.
Well, Johnny, he's been quite negative, hasn't he? I'm not sure if it's mind games. We used to get this lot with Jose Mourinho saying we're not the best team, we're not very good, almost taking the pressure off his team. I don't know if Lewis Hamilton's taken the pressure off himself, but he said, I'm not trying to be negative, but Mercedes, they're flat out quicker. If we're not able to get him on the first lap, he's just going to disappear into the distance.
Well, yeah, I asked him yesterday after qualifying if he was satisfied with 3rd, and he was very much no, I wasn't, because he's had pace this weekend. So he had sprint pole, they had the sprint race, the shortened race yesterday morning, and Lewis Hamilton led it for a while, but he was hunted down and then subsequently passed by Kimi Antonelli, who disappeared into the distance. So I think that's why Lewis was a little bit doom and gloom. But I like to hear as well that he's not here to finish 3rd. I like to hear that he's wanting a victory for the home crowd. And you know what? So often you think he's not in it, you think this isn't going to be his day or even his year, and he comes up trumps somehow at Silverstone. So the form guide would say Antonelli is too strong, Mercedes are maybe just a little bit too quick, and Lewis's comments kind of ring true. If Antonelli gets away, he should win, but somehow at Silverstone, it's never that simple.
And Harry, we were talking about Kimi Antonelli yesterday. I mean, he's having such an outrageous season for one so young.
I mean, certainly Jolyon said it, just 19 years of age, and we're starting to use the same adjectives time and time again now when describing him: cool, calm, assured, confidence, all the things we describe for those who've come on the scene with a buzz around them. You know, he was one of those drivers that 5 years ago you start to hear rumblings about through the support category, so much so that Mercedes and Toto Wolff, the team principal, wanted to sign him up before the others could get them, looking for their own generational talent, their own version of Max Verstappen. So much did they believe in Kimi Antonelli, they fast-forwarded him through the ranks. He skipped Formula 3, went straight into F2, and I suppose unlike George Russell, they didn't feel that they could, or he needed perhaps, to have a few apprenticeship years at a lower team. George Russell spent a few years at the back of the grid with the Williams team. Kimi Antonelli, on the other hand, straight in to fill the seat of Lewis Hamilton. And yes, last year was not the year that I think he or any of us expected, but of course only a rookie, and it's that development from the end of last year into this year that has really, I think, surprised everybody. And whilst maybe at the start of this season a bit rough around the edges, and has been off the podium podium in Austria, but off the back of a couple of retirements as well, now really putting his foot down this weekend. I think if you talk about mind games, doing so in George's backyard too will be certainly something that Russell will struggle to deal with, but hope he can strike back in the Grand Prix today.
Right, gentlemen, stay right where you are. We're just nipping to the Hill Dickinson Stadium to get the latest on the Rugby League with Matt Newsom.
Yeah, what a start this is for Wakefield Trinity against Castleford Tigers, a big West Yorkshire derby, Wakefield postcode derby. This one, 10 points to 0 to Wakefield, 2 tries for them. Cam Scott scoring early in the game. Tom Johnston has just finished one off in the corner at the opposite side. Both one of those converted by Jack Sinfield, but in truth they could have had far more points than that. They already had 2 tries ruled out. Cam Scott was denied one as he went over on that right hand side, and that was ruled out for an infringement. And then there was a further try called off as well, was Will Tates went over, but the pass from Tom Johnston was after his foot was in touch. So far so good for Wakefield. Castleford have a lot of work to do.
Matt, thank you very much. Commentary over on Sports Extra. So here on 5 Live from 3 o'clock, we'll have full commentary of the British Grand Prix from Silverstone, joined by Jolyon Palmer and Harry Benjamin. And Jolyon, if I could talk about McLaren for a bit. They've got Lando Norris, reigning world champion, won last year at Silverstone. He's back in 6th. And if you could unpick this quote from him when he said, "We're in a bit of a pickle."
Yeah, I think the quote does a lot of talking, doesn't it? They just don't have the pace of what they had last year. As I said, Lando won the race, but he won it from his teammate, Oscar Piastri, who looked pretty good, and the McLaren had the dominant car. They're in a bit of a pickle. That's very British for the British Grand Prix, isn't it? They don't have the car that's great in a straight line, and they don't have the cornering speed. So you put it together, and thus you find yourself in a pickle. He had a great start yesterday, so that would be my hope for Lando, is that he can get in the mix early on. And yeah, he carved from 6th on the grid yesterday to 2nd halfway through the first lap. Then he lost a couple of places and he got one back for a 3rd place finish. Hopefully he can do something similar, but I don't think they're going to be quite in the race for the win today.
But how frustrating is it, Jolyon, as a driver, if you're saying, well, the car's not fast enough and it's not fast enough? You're sort of saying it's nothing to do with me, it's the machine I'm in. How difficult is that as a driver to stay positive?
Well, you always blame your tools, don't you? If you get half a chance, and in Formula 1 you get a great chance to do that.
So, bit, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's a well-versed line from Formula 1 drivers. What I would say for Norris is he's actually doing a great job against his teammate. So Piastri, was the man that led last year. Norris beat him, but this year Norris is doing a really strong job. It's a little bit harder work for the Australian Oscar Piastri in the other car. So you have to work with your team, you have to galvanise them. It's a long project. We're on a new set of regulations in Formula 1. It's a very different car that they're all driving, different power units, different engines in the back that everyone's still getting used to. And McLaren spent so long working on their title bid for last year that they kind of have left themselves a little bit in the lurch. It's only by tiny margins, but Formula 1 is decided by tiny margins, and right now they're on the wrong side of it. So drivers need to knuckle down with their teams and make the most of what you've got on any given day and try and develop that so you can have better days in the future.
Harry, set the scene for us. You talked about being in the paddock, and I know Colin Murray was there earlier and he was getting very excited about being in the paddock. So just talk about the scene and what you have and what you can see around you and that build-up to when it all starts.
Well, earlier I was with Colin Murray in a swimming pool, so a very different kind of scene right now over at the pop-up hotel. Yeah, Jolie, you don't know about that, do you? Colin Murray made me get into my trunks and get into the pool for my morning lengths, followed by a hot tub as well. Such is the VIP experience.
What an ease into Sunday Silverstone.
Wow.
I
have to say, it was unlike a Silverstone I've ever experienced before, with an audience as well, and it sits right on the inside of the hangar straight as you approach Stowe, which is the right-hander, which has the Lando stand right on the outside of it. So a huge fan stand there for him, and a lot of people watching on. The event gets bigger every year, like I said earlier, but right now as I stand in the paddock, we just actually had the CEO of McLaren, Zach Brown, walking in. He's just been out there in some historic Formula 1 cars, historic McLaren cars coming around, so he's been in his overalls and now getting ready to knuckle down for the race. But you stand around, and actually we sort of found a little bit of a calm spot right on the corner of the media pen. I look down and I see the Red Bull Hospitality to my right, and it goes down in championship order from there. So McLaren next up, and you head further down, then you get Ferrari and the likes of Williams and so on. So it is starting, though, as you head down further into the paddock to get busier as we get closer to crunch time. All the drivers now, indeed, Sergio Perez, who's wearing a Mexico top today to support them later on in the big match at the World Cup, along with Fernando Alonso in the Aston Martin on their scooters, making their way to the grid, because we're about to have the drivers' parade, which is a a little different to normal. They've actually all been given their own Lego go-karts, so they're all going to head round in a purpose-built Lego as Valtteri Bottas heads past me now on his way to the grid to do that for Cadillac, looking very cool, calm and collected. So it's a nice buzz down here in the paddock.
And I always feel, Jolien, that as an F1 driver, you're locked in your bubble, you're encased in your car, you're not really aware of anything that's going on. A track is a track, a crowd are a crowd. But what difference does it make at Silverstone in terms of being a British driver competing at Silverstone?
Yeah, it's special. A track is a track and a crowd is a crowd until you get to certain places. And the British Grand Prix at Silverstone is one of those. Whether you're British or not, you turn up here and you're feeling a festival atmosphere. It's the biggest crowd we've ever seen in Formula One. You can't ignore that, no matter where you're from. And if you're lucky enough to turn up to the British Grand Prix as a British driver, it is such a special feeling. You just get boosted around. Everywhere you're seeing Union Jacks, you're seeing huge grandstands. Every year there's more popping up, and it is just such a buzz of a weekend. It's a busy weekend, but the crowd gives you so much energy. And on top of that, by the way, it's an amazing racetrack as well. It's one of the iconic circuits.
We've had iconic a lot today. Always joy speaking to you guys. We've had swimming trunks, hot tubs and Lego go-karts. So it's an insight into the world of Formula One. Harry Benjamin and Jolien Palmer, thank you very much. The team will be back. We'll have full live race commentary here on 5 Live from 3 o'clock, of the British Grand Prix. Right, back to the tennis, because we've got a Brit to keep an eye on in the... Right, we'll be back on centre very shortly, but in just over half an hour's time, it'll be the start of the British Grand Prix. You'll hear every lap here on 5 Live. On the grid for us at Silverstone is Rosanna Tennant. Rosanna, lovely to speak to you once again. And as we're getting so close to the start of the grid walk, then the start of the race, give us a sense of the atmosphere and what you can see around you.
Well, the grid is starting to fill up, Gigi. The cars aren't on it yet. They're just doing their reconnaissance laps. But the fans have found their places in the grandstands. They've found their seats. The media are all down here. And then it's a who's who in terms of celebrities coming to the Grand Prix as well this afternoon. I've seen Sir Chris Hoy, the Olympic cyclist. Sir Mo Farah, of course, also an Olympic champion, is also supposed to be here. So I've got my beady eyes out here on the grid, hoping to speak to some of them to find out how they're enjoying their experience of the Grand Prix. And I think we've got a cracking Grand Prix ahead of us as well, with Kimi Antonelli, the young Italian driver, on pole, being chased down by the Ferraris, which of course includes Sir Lewis Hamilton. And I'm standing on the Hamilton Straight, Gigi. So a lot of support for the British drivers this afternoon.
Rosanna, thank you so much. It feels like the sporting superstars are split between Silverstone and Wimbledon. We will be back on the grid at 2:30 for that grid walk ahead of the race, and then we'll bring you the race here live on 5 Live. Right, to court number 2. Find us on Sports Extra 2. That is from now right through until the end of the day. But now here on 5 Live, let's take you to Silverstone ahead of the British Grand Prix and join Harry Benjamin.
Thanks very much, Gigi. And from the grass courts of Wimbledon to the high-speed sweepers of Silverstone, welcome to 5 Live F1 ahead of the British Grand Prix. We join one of the great days in British sporting summer. The atmosphere building, the grandstands are packed with record number crowds and a home crowd ready to roar its favourites through 52 laps of one of Formula One's fastest and most historic circuits. The grid is set, the tension is rising, home hopes on the line with 5 British drivers in the field and the ever-present threat of drama. This is all the ingredients for a classic British Grand Prix. I'm up in the commentary box looking out over the pit lane. We're just above the reigning world champions McLaren's garage, with the Papaya pit wall running parallel with the start-finish straight, which is absolutely packed full with drivers, team members, VIPs and our very own VIP, Rosanna Tennant.
Oh, thank you, Harry. Yes, it's a who's who down here on the grid. We've got Olympians, Sir Chris Hoy, Sir Mo Farah. We've got musicians, the Queen musicians, Sir Brian May. We've got TV presenters. We've got Jeremy Clarkson down here as well. So many people trying to soak up the atmosphere. Everyone is being filtered off the grid. I think there are so many people to get off the grid. They've started it early, but everyone wanting to see these F1 cars up close and personal. And as I look up from the start-finish straight, which of course Harry is now called the Hamilton Straight, I can see the fans on their feet. perfect. So much support for the home heroes today. I can see papaya caps, I can see Ferrari caps cheering on Sir Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris, of course. And it's lovely and sunny, Harry. A beautiful summer's day. I don't think we're going to see any jeopardy as far as the weather's concerned. It is hot, 25 degrees, but blustery, and that's a challenge in itself for the drivers.
Yeah, we've seen that all throughout the weekend so far. Thanks, Rosanna. In fact, I think I've just spied a 1996 F1 World Champion, Damon Hill, running off the grid. So whilst we wait for him to run from the grid up into the commentary box, I'm also alongside the BBC's F1 correspondent, Andrew Benson. And Andrew, what are you expecting from today? We've got obviously Kimi Antonelli on pole with Charles Leclerc alongside, but the best of the Brits is Lewis Hamilton from third, looking for a 10th victory around Silverstone.
He's looking for it, Harry, but he's going to have to look pretty hard, I think. It's hard to see past Kimi Antonelli as a winner from this race unless he has some kind of problem. He beat Hamilton, overtook him to win the sprint yesterday. Hamilton was sounding pretty downbeat about his chances. George Russell in the other Mercedes is fourth on the grid and has to get past both Ferraris before he can challenge his teammate.
Well, let's see what occurs over the next couple of hours. Right, let's head back down to the grid with Rosanna.
Yes, Harry, I'm with the former team principal at Red Bull, Christian Horner. You're back, Christian.
Yeah, look, it's nice to be back on the grid, and you know, I've just come to as a fan today. So, Christ, you got everybody here on the grid today. So it's nice to be here with no pressure.
Have you caught up with some friendly faces? Have you chatted to Toto, to Fred?
I haven't seen them yet, but you know, we'll see.
And are we expecting you to be the new team boss at Aston Martin then? Where are you going to pop up next?
There's rumours all the time. I'm just enjoying my time out at the moment, so time with family and looking at other forms of motorsport as well that I've never had time for before. So, but I still keep an eye on what's going on.
So you will be back?
Look, never say never.
Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Former team principal of Red Bull Racing there, Christian Horner, and his ex-team, Isaac Hadjar, lines up in fifth. Max Verstappen lining up in seventh for this afternoon's British Grand Prix. It's a tight mid-pack there. But Andrew, what makes Silverstone so special? We rave about it. It is the home of Formula One, but what is it about this circuit?
Well, I just addressed that Christian Horner interview first. There's rumours all the time about his future because he's feeding them. There's no prospect of him being Aston Martin team owner while Adrian Newey's there as the design director, managing technical partner, his official title. Christian Horner had lunch with Lawrence Stroll a while ago and then fed that information to the media himself. So Silverstone itself is it's an unbelievable carnival atmosphere. It just seems to get bigger and bigger every year. 175,000 people here today, Harry. I don't know how any of us are going to get out in time to watch the England game later tonight, but it's just such an extraordinary experience being here. The circuit itself is fantastic. The crowd's incredibly knowledgeable. They're always crowding outside the paddock trying to get autographs with the drivers every evening. It's like no race anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, and on that England game, you can hear that on 5 Live tonight at the Azteca Stadium, taking on Mexico. Build up from 11:45 ahead of kickoff at 1 a.m. in the morning. Hopefully we'll be out of the car park here at Silverstone by then, but certainly lots to look out for in between now and then. Let's just go straight back down to the grid, actually. Rosanna.
Thanks, Harry. I'm with Jeremy Clarkson, TV presenter. Great to see you, and such good news about your health, Jeremy.
Oh, no, I'm fine, thank you so much. No, that was all a year ago. I'm mended now.
Well, that is great news. And are you enjoying your day at the F1?
I love it. I always like the F1. But if Kimi Antonelli gets a good start, I shall be on my helicopter in 15 minutes and home.
So who are you supporting?
Well, I want Pierre Gasly to do well. They're our local team. And
you've been cooking for him, haven't you, this weekend?
Yeah, we're doing all the food. All our farm food is at Alpine, which is a really nice tie-up. So we just went and had one of our steak pies and our beer and everything at Hawkston and so on. So it's a lovely tie-up. That it's our local team and local farm, and I like it. Enjoy it.
Well, enjoy the show today. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Great to have Jeremy Clarkson on the grid. And, well, unfortunately for Pierre Gasly, he did actually receive a grid penalty after impeding Lance Stroll in yesterday's qualifying session. Gets docked a few positions. Gasly starting down in 15th with teammate Colapinto after a spin in qualifying yesterday. Starts from 19th. So Jeremy Clarkson may well be on that helicopter, Andrew, fairly swiftly, because Kimi Antonelli has been superb so far this weekend. The winner in the sprint race yesterday as well. Can anyone stop him?
Well, they can, Harry, but I'm not quite sure how. Everything's flowing so easily for Antonelli at the moment. He's so quick in that Mercedes. George Russell, of course, his teammate, has the same car, or maybe he didn't yesterday because his engine was a bit down on power. But it's just not working for Russell at the moment in the way that it is for Antonelli. He's sweeping all before him. And I've just been given a little sweep from Damon Hill, who's just arrived at the commentary box. So I'm going to stop talking while I eat that before we go on air.
Nice, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, Damon Hill has arrived. We'll let him settle before we introduce him, and he has delivered us with some nice sweets. I might wait until after the race on that front. We are going to be guiding you through the Grand Prix. We'll run you through the grid in full. 5 British drivers in the field. 4 of them start inside the top 10, and I've got a world champion Brit alongside Damon Hill as he pulls up in the seat next to me. We saw you rushing off the grid, Damon. What's the atmosphere like down there?
It's madness. I mean, I don't know how many celebrities or how much time I've got to reel off all the celebrities before the race starts, but there were a lot of them. No loosed. Jeremy Clarkson bumped into me and said something rude, but at least he's here looking better. And yeah, it's absolutely, it's fun. It's fun. But I was watching the drivers as they leave after the national anthem. They literally drop everything the moment that last note is sung and head back to the garages to get their heads in gear, and then eventually they'll be getting in their cars. They're in now, actually. I can see they're all getting fixed in. It's a big job getting in one of these cars, but we're all set for a very exciting race.
We certainly are. We've just been talking about some of the British prospects up and down the field. Obviously, being at your home race brings another kind of pressure. You've been there, done that, won the T-shirt as well. Is that a good pressure? Can you use it to find a couple of tenths out there if you are on home soil?
Listen, there's extra work, I think, if you're at your home Grand Prix. We saw it at the start of the year with Oscar Piastri, and before that was Daniel Ricciardo. When you go and you're actually at your home Grand Prix, there's more demands on your time. You can't let people down, so you have to fire T-shirts into the grandstand or whatever it is you're doing. I do think that the Lego race was actually a tension breaker for all of them. They seem to be having fun, and I think that's a really important thing to do before start a race, is just to loosen up and have a little bit of a relax. But by Sunday night, they're all exhausted. It's mentally very, very difficult to be a Grand Prix driver, and the most important thing that you do is drive these cars, and that you cannot be distracted. That's one of the big problems with being at home, but you get a huge amount of support and the boost to yourself and your motivation from the fans, as we know.
Yeah, so earlier on, instead of the usual drivers' parade where they go round and wave to all the fans on the back of a flatbed truck, Lego have made them all bespoke go-karts with bits of Lego stuck on them, and they all headed round the track, all 22 of them, and getting a bit of argy-bargy out there, and looked like they had a bit of fun. Of course, they did it a year ago in Miami, but each driver only got one car, so each team only got one car, so they had to have 2 drivers in one car. This time, they all got their own one.
Yeah, a bit more than bits of Lego stuck on them, Harry. They were made of Lego. 28,000 bits of Lego in each car. But yeah, it was. I mean, I think the drivers were pretty clear they weren't looking forward to it, but they made the best of it, didn't they? And there was some off-roading, and there was some genuine racing. And Fernando Alonso made sure he won the first race he'd been in equal cars for a long time, which was quite fun. And the whole thing was quite fun. They got beached on the gravel as well, didn't they, with the FIA president?
Do we have to say other building blocks are also available?
We'll clear ourselves on that front. Yeah, other building blocks are available. Thank you, Damon. You're getting the hang of this stuff, aren't you?
I don't know why the FIA president was involved in the F1 drivers Lego kart race, but there we are.
Right, well, let's talk strategy, Damon and Andrew. What are we expecting to see unfold over the course of the next 52 laps? We've had a little taster yesterday from the sprint race where we saw a lot of back and forth overtaking. This time we have a longer run. We also have pit stops to contend with. Damon, what are you expecting to see? What are you hoping to see?
Well, yes, you're absolutely right. The starts to these Grand Prix with these new battery pack and deployment and all the rest of it charging, it's very, very frenetic. And there's all sorts of jockeying for position and people running out of juice at the wrong moment, and a lot of overtaking and then repassing. So the first 3 or 4 laps are absolute madness. And of course, this is where the opportunity will come for Ferrari, because I think on pure pace, if they let Kimi get just a little bit of a sniff of clear air, he'll be off. So the start, Ferraris could get him at the start, but I think strategy-wise, they may well be thinking about split strategy, anything they can do to destabilise Kimi.
Well, strategy-wise, I wasn't expecting much deviation before I saw the list of starting tyres. I'm expecting even less now, because every single car is starting on the medium tyre. I think it's going to be a one-stop race, and either on the medium and the hard or the medium and soft, depending on how long they can go on this first stint.
Yeah, Pirelli, the tyre supplier, predicting you can go to around about lap 30 on the medium tyre before you want to come in for a pit stop and put on the hard tyre, or if you want to switch to the soft tyre, you can go to around about lap 35, but degradation might be a little less with slightly lower temperatures, a bit more cloud cover today, a bit cooler out there than it has been throughout the course of the weekends, but still the umbrellas very much up in the grandstands, not for any risk of rain, just to try and keep a bit of shade, a bit of cool for the record number that Silverstone has of fans here. The fan zone's getting bigger every year, the hospitality getting bigger every year. Let's just do a little focus further down the field, Damon. A quick word on the 2 McLarens and the Red Bulls underperforming so far this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that Max's position is maybe down to some sort of issue that he said he had with his power unit. So an uncharacteristic being out-qualified by your teammate for Max. So maybe they fixed it. I haven't heard that they have or they haven't. But McLaren clearly not dominating like they did last year, not being the team that were able to set the pace for everyone. But they'll still be in the mix. And of course, Lando did perform well in the sprint. Albeit it's very difficult to tell whether they've got the pace over a long race.
We'll see what they have got with the 77th British Grand Prix, the 61st here at Silverstone, just a few moments away. We'll run you through the grid in full. Ahead of this weekend, it is Kimi Antonelli who leads the Drivers' Championship by 43 points to his teammate George Russell. Lewis Hamilton sits in third with Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc, the top 5. How will this unfold? Energy, tyres and drama will all play a part here at Silverstone. It's round 9 of the Formula One World Championship, and it is time for the British Grand Prix. As they pull away on the formation lap, then let's run you through the grid from back to front. And after a grid penalty for power unit changes, it's Lance Stroll's Aston Martin at the back behind his teammate Fernando Alonso. Row 10 sees Sergio Perez, a messy weekend so far from the Mexican, behind Franco Colapinto's Alpine. Valtteri Bottas is 18th for Cadillac, with Esteban Ocon in the Haas just ahead. Into the top 16 sees Alex Albon, the London-born Thai, behind Pierre Gasly's Alpine from 15th. The Williams of Carlos Sainz starts from 14th, behind the British driver in his second season for Haas, Oliver Behrman, in 13th. The 2 Audis just missing out on a top 10 start. Hulkenberg 12th, with Gabriel Bortoleto in 11th. Into the top 10, and it's Racing Bulls once again the best of the midfield. Liam Lawson out-qualified by his British teammate Arvid Lindblad. Oscar Piastri is 8th, behind Max Verstappen's Red Bull. Then comes Lando Norris in the McLaren 6th. The top 5 sees Isaac Hadjar in 5th. George Russell starts 4th, with Lewis Hamilton just ahead of him. And your front row sees Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari line up alongside your pole sitter Kimi Antonelli. Well, a very good afternoon to you. This is 5 Live F1 with coverage of the British Grand Prix, the 9th round of the year, part of a huge summer of sport here on 5 Live over the next
couple of hours, we'll be bringing you updates from day 7 of Wimbledon. For uninterrupted commentary, that is available on Sports Extra. There's also rugby league action as Leeds Rhinos take on Bradford Bulls in the Super League. That's over on Sports Extra 3 and will be followed by commentary of Wigan Warriors v St Helens. Here on 5 Live from 3:30, we'll take you to Lords for live ball-by-ball cricket commentary of Australia against England in the Women's T20 World Cup final, before we then turn our attention to this evening's World Cup matches. Brazil against Norway kicks off at 10:45, and then, just in case you were wondering, we will have full build-up with Mark Chapman and the team of Mexico against England at the Azteca Stadium from 11:45 this evening. Kick-off at 1 a.m. in the morning. The sport does not let up here on 5 Live, and coming round the final corner is Kimi Antonelli. This just over 3.6 mile circuit, 5.8 kilometre track with 18 turns, 8 that swing to the left and 10 that go to the right. Sees Kimi Antonelli weaving back and forth to get heat in his tyres though, but we might well have an aborted formation. Fernando Alonso just stopping at Maggots and Beckett's in the Aston Martin, but then getting going again and back up to full speed. So all looks okay, but I wonder if he'll come into the pit lane anyway at the end of this lap or line up on the grid. Damon?
Yeah, I mean, you never know with Fernando. He could be doing something, but he'd have to actually have a good reason for stopping on the circuit. You're not supposed to drop back and get a faster run up to the back of the grid just to warm up your tyres. So he should have kept up with the rest of the field. I don't know. We'll watch him very closely to see whether he's coming in the pit lane.
That's Damon Hill alongside me. Rosanna Tennant will be keeping an eye on things down from the paddock.
And I can just see the final cars pulling around the final turn of the circuit to take their place on the grid. There is not an empty seat in the house, Harry. Every single seat has been taken. I can see the grandstand for Lando Norris there on their feet cheering. And here we go. I'm excited.
Green flag at the back. The Aston Martin did come into the pit lane. The engines start to fire up as we will get the lights coming on the front row. See Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. Kimi Antonelli's on pole. It's all eyes to the lights and foot to the floor as we go racing at Silverstone. And it's a great start from Charles Leclerc, who takes the lead into turn 1. Hamilton follows him through round the outside of Antonelli, who's down to 3rd. The Ferrari's lead coming into turn 3 as George Russell tries to fight with Max Verstappen and Isaac Hadjar in their Red Bulls. But what a start for the Ferrari. Charles Leclerc flying.
And absolutely, George Russell has had a fantastic start as well. He's right up there behind the group. He's right behind his teammate Kimi Antonelli, his contender for the World Championship, as they go into going into Luffield now. And it's wheel-to-wheel action. Max Verstappen hasn't made much, or Isaac Hadjar hasn't made. We've seen some contact.
Oh yeah, yellow flag out. Sorry, Damon. And just seen the two Mercedes going side by side out through the right-hander of Luffield. We'll see how that one plays out. It's still Charles Leclerc though out in front as we head through the right-hander of Cox. Lewis Hamilton in second. The Ferraris 1 and 2. Kimi Antonelli still ahead of his teammate George Russell 3rd and 4th, with Isaac Hadjar 5th. Max Verstappen is 6th. Lando Norris down to 7th. He's lost a position at the start of this race as they weave their way through the fastest corners on the Formula 1 calendar. Maggots, Beckett spits you out through Trappel. Left, right, as Oscar Piastri in the other McLaren reports he may well have damage. He's fallen down to 10th place.
This is exactly the thing that Ferrari were hoping for, to jump the Mercedes at the start, which they've done. They're typically getting better off the line than the other teams, and now they're able to control things a little bit. If they got one car in front, that would be good, but they got two. They got Lewis Hamilton as they're coming into Copse, and there's dust on the road and everything. So another car has been off the road, bringing dust onto the track, but Charles Leclerc looks like he's got it under control, but maybe Lewis Hamilton coming under a little bit of pressure now from Kimi.
Kimi Antonelli closing up to the back of Lewis Hamilton as George Russell tries to defend from the two Red Bulls. Isaac Hadjar right on his tail as they head out onto the Wellington straight, and Russell really feeling the need to defend. Heads to the inside line, forces Hadjar round the long way through the left-hand loop of Brooklands. Then you swing back on yourself through the right-hander of Luffield. That takes you to the right-hand kink of Woodcote. George George Russell holds the position. Max Verstappen trying to get in on this fight as well. Lando Norris a little further adrift as Norris's teammate is told to come into the pits as he has front wing damage. Out in front though, lap 2 of 52. Charles Leclerc leads Lewis Hamilton. Kimi Antonelli third. Russell, Hadjar the top 5. Then comes Verstappen, Norris. The 2 Racing Bulls of Lawson and Lindblad 8th and 9th, with Carlos Sainz with a great start up to 10th for Williams. They are your point scorers. Ocon's 11th. Good start for the Frenchman. Bortoletto 12th. The 2 Alpines. Gasly ahead of Colapinto. Perez is up to 15th ahead of Bottas. Stroll, Behrman's dropped down to 18th. Alonso 19th. Hulkenberg has had a miserable start to this race. He's down to 20th. Piastri, I think he did have damage. He might well be coming into the pits. He's all the way down in 21st. Problems for Alex Albon as well. He's come into the pits early doors, switched onto the hard tyre and come out last. Lap 3 of 52.
Yeah, and the top 3 had started to string themselves out a little bit less pressure. George has got a little bit of a breathing space to him and Hadjar, but he needs to close the gap. He really does need to get on the tail of Kimi Antonelli if he's going to stop the rot in this championship.
Oh, sorry, Damon, that was just a lovely little move there from Max Verstappen down the inside at the loop. You don't see too many overtakes there. The left-hander, a little bit of a lock-up for Max Verstappen as well to get his own teammate. Hadjar's going to try and fight back here. This is the sound of the Frenchman who out-qualified his teammate, coming through Brooklands now, swinging through the right-hander of Luffield, and Verstappen looks like he's got the move done on his teammate. Red Bull 5th and 6th still, but it's Verstappen ahead of Hadjar.
That little scuffle will give George a little bit of a breather because you can see now there's a gap behind, but can Max Verstappen now with a little bit more clear air as we see him going over the curb on the exit of Cops, looking extremely unstable, but he's able to hold on to it, and he's still got Isaac Hadjar breathing down his neck. But whether or not the team will want him to fight Max Verstappen is another question.
Oscar Piastri has come into the pits to change his front wing with damage picked up on lap 1. We haven't yet seen what happened there. You just heard the voice of the 1996 Formula 1 World Champion Damon Hill alongside myself, Harry Benjamin. You're listening to 5 Live Formula 1 live coverage of the British Grand Prix, round 9 of the Formula 1 season. It was Kimi Antonelli for Mercedes who started on pole, but good starts for both Ferraris. See Charles Leclerc leading this Grand Prix after turn 1. Lewis Hamilton right there with him. Antonelli is keeping tabs on them. Then there's a bit of a gap down to George Russell, who's busy keeping the Red Bulls at bay. Verstappen 5th now, ahead of Hadjar. Norris has lost a place and down to 7th. It's not been the best opening lap for McLaren, who have lost one other car. Oscar Piastri with front wing damage. He's still in this race, but he's pitted and fallen all the way to the back of the field. Lawson, Lindblad and Carlos Sainz, the Williams driver who started this race down in 14th, has managed to pick off 3 positions and up into 10th. They are your point scorers.
Now, this is the interesting part of the race. Things have settled down a bit. We've got 4 laps in. It's a long way to go until the pit stop, and they do have to look after their tyres. If they're going to make a one-stop work for them, they're going to have to be thinking a little bit about how much tyre they use, whether or not they can get the overcut or the undercut as we get close to the pit stops.
Yeah, lap 4 of 52, about a second between the 2 Ferrari drivers as they make their way through Maggots and Beckers. BBC F1 correspondent Andrew Benson is here with us. Andrew, what can we expect to see here? Ferrari have the advantage of track position, but we expect Mercedes to have better energy management.
Well, at the moment, Kimi Antonelli is stalking Lewis Hamilton in 2nd and 3rd places. It looks beginning to look a little bit like the first few laps of the sprint yesterday, Harry, with when Hamilton led the first 9 laps before Antonelli homed in and got past him. Once he's within a second, Antonelli, he'll have the use of the overtake mode, which gives you extra electrical recovery and charge through each lap. That's what Hamilton's got to watch out for. At the moment, he's just got Antonelli at 1.1 seconds, so just at arm's length. Charles Leclerc, similar gap in front of Lewis Hamilton, but I'm expecting that Antonelli will start to apply the pressure to the 2 Ferraris in front of him.
Lap 5 of 52. Charles Leclerc leads by just over a second now to his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Kimi Antonelli is 3rd, then comes Russell. Verstappen the top 5. Hadjar down a place in 6th. Norris 7th. Lawson up 2 positions to 8th. Lindblad started 9th. That's where he currently is, the British rookie for Racing Bulls, with Carlos Sainz up 4 positions, although I think he might have just lost 10th place to Audi's Gabriel Bortoletto. Could be a crucial race for Audi today. They looked quick in qualifying yesterday, and Bortoletto bitterly bitterly disappointed to miss out on the top 10. Felt he had that in him. The Brazilian hasn't scored a point for Audi since the start of the season. As we're going to get a look at the start again with Kimi Antonelli having the best seat in the house on pole, gets an initially good launch and then bogs down in the second phase, and it's a pincer movement from both Ferraris. Charles Leclerc on his right hand side, Lewis Hamilton on his left, and by the time we get to Abbey turn 1 and then certainly turn 3, it is the two Ferraris out in front and Mercedes on the back foot.
Yeah, it's what you might call a mugging there that Kimi Antonelli got from both Ferraris. They came at him from both sides, and this is the problem he's had all season, is getting that thing off the line. The Ferraris do have an advantage. We're on board with Lando Norris, who got really squeezed going into turn 1 and had to back out of it and got passed by a couple of cars. This is where all the action happened. We're on board now with Alexander Albon, who actually collided with Ollie Behrman, I think, going through Brooklands. So that is a bad outcome. I think Albon's been in the pits, hasn't he?
Yeah, that has forced Albon to come in, so that explains why Behrman dropped all the way down. That is under investigation. In fact, that is a 10-second time penalty now for Alex Albon. Meanwhile, incident involving Lewis Hamilton has been noted for a false start. That's moving before the start light signal. That's usually a slam dunk. We'll see how that one turns out. Hamilton currently second, 1.8 seconds behind his teammate Charles Leclerc. It's lap 6 of 52 of the British Grand Prix, but there's news of the toss ahead of the Women's T20 World Cup final. Ellie Oldroyd.
Beautiful day here at Lord's, bright sunshine, clear skies. We've seen a performance by Rita Ora before the toss took place, and Australia won that toss and they will bowl first. So England will have to defend a target like they did so successfully, brilliantly in the semi-final. In fact, both two teams are unchanged. England really hoping that they can put up a good fight against this Australian team, which they have never won in a head-to-head one-off final in an ICC event. But then they have never lost a World Cup final when it's been played here at Lord's. We're underway in just about 17 minutes' time with England batting first.
Thanks very much, Ellie. And we will take you there here across the 5 Live network. Lap 7, though, right now here on BBC Radio 5 Live at the British Grand Prix, the home of Formula 1, with the first Grand Prix happening back in 1950 with Charles Leclerc currently enjoying a good early phase to this Grand Prix. He's just been told by his engineer he's on plan B for Bravo, and at the moment the expectations were that we'll get a one-stop race, presuming there are no major interruptions of a safety car or a virtual safety car. If you start on the medium tyre, you could well then move on to the hard tyre by around lap 30, or move on to the soft tyre at around lap 35. So Charles Leclerc getting the benefit too of clean air out in front of him, and his tyres perhaps not degrading as much as those behind.
Well, the Ferrari strategist now, you'd be thinking, how can we hold up Kimi Antonelli using Lewis Hamilton? Because if Lewis Hamilton's got a penalty, then they're just confirming that that was moving before a signal under investigation. So we wait to see what happens there. But either way, Lewis Hamilton might find himself as being the roadblock to keep Kimi back and lose time against Charles Leclerc.
As Gasly breezes past Carlos Sainz down the hangar straight and into 11th. News on Hamilton, 5-second time penalty for the 7-time world champion for a false start, moving before the signal. So that is what Ferrari will have to work with now. He'll serve that when he comes in for his first pit stop. He'll move into his Ferrari grid slot. The team will not be able to work or even touch the car for 5 seconds. Then they can get on with the pit stop. But if even one of them touches a front wing or a tyre, it will have to serve again as we get the sounds of Lewis Hamilton's jump start.
Yeah, it was quite clear. You could see the wheel just slightly rotating and he had to get back on the brakes. But even then, he still managed to get a good start. So it's an extremely difficult thing to do, to start slightly and then stop and then get going in time for the lights. Usually you ruin the start by having the jump start. But yeah, it's quite clear that his car did move for whatever reason. Maybe it was a clutch release, slight clutch release too early, or maybe it was just putting it in gear. But he should already have been in gear by that time.
But I tell you what's happening now. Charles Leclerc is starting to extend his gap out in front to over 2.5 seconds as Lewis Hamilton getting reeled in by Kimi Antonelli. Last lap around, Antonelli about 3/10 quicker than Lewis Hamilton as they make their way out of the final corner now and head towards the fast, flat-out right-hand turn of Abbey. That then arcs you through the left-hander of Farm before you slam on the first heavy braking zone of the lap. The right-hander through Village, then runs slightly deep does Hamilton. Much wider entry point for Kimi Antonelli, who's lining up a move here as the sun shines off the silver arrow of the young 19-year-old Italian who leads the Drivers' World Championship coming in to this Grand Prix down the Wellington Straight. They then turn it into Brooklands, the left-hander, then sweeping back round on themselves through the U-bend of Luffield and getting ever close, but it just concertinas up and then Hamilton pulls away.
Yeah, Kimi Antonelli's been astonishing this season, but if there is a weak spot, it may be over-exuberance. He's been following very closely to Lewis Hamilton. Clearly, he wants to get past him and go and chase down Charles Leclerc, but every time he's within a second of the car in front, he's using his tyres more and more, and the guy behind him, George, is in a bit of clear air, and he's still hanging on. He's 2.6 seconds behind Kimi Antonelli, but maybe he's saving tyres by doing so.
Well, we're back onto the Hangar Straight, which is yesterday's point where Lewis Hamilton lost the lead of the sprint to Kimi Antonelli, deploying the use of the overtake mode and boost, so getting maximum power delivery from the engine and the battery, and was able to really just leave Hamilton as a sitting duck. Not such the case yet, as Russell asked his team to check the gearbox. Very odd shifts for the British driver, who's down in 4th at the moment and rather in a race on his own. Max Verstappen about a second away from him in 5th, as Kimi Antonelli once again closes in on Lewis Hamilton in the first sector through the loop now, and this is close as he's been in the last few laps, but Hamilton just gets a mighty exit out of Aintree. Down the Wellington Straight we go. The front and the rear wing both open in a straight line to give you maximum speed in a straight line. Both get the use of it, and once again round and out of Woodcote, Hamilton able to break away as Russell is told we have no concerns on the gearbox. So Russell hopefully at peace of mind now to carry on and get himself into this fight as we head to the fast sweepers of Maggots and Beckett's. Left, then right, then left again before you head towards Chapel. A right-hander, slightly longer, just feeds you out on the exit of the apex, spits you out onto the Hangar Straight. Can Antonelli use the boost and the overtake mode to close up the gap, as actually Russell and Verstappen are still within earshot behind them?
Yeah, I still remember your head being thrown around as you went through the Beckett section there, Harry, in the hot lap that we gave you on Thursday, I think it was. But these guys have got slightly stronger necks. They train like you can't believe. And I was looking at Kimi Antonelli's neck because he did look like it was a bit weak in Barcelona. He had to rest his head, but he's only 19. But he's got to develop those neck muscles, and I think they're getting to the state now where you can't tell the difference between the head and the neck. I mean, it just goes into one. But
yeah, they're like tree trunks, aren't they? But hang on, here we go through the loop once again, and Antonelli takes a tighter line this time compared to Lewis Hamilton, who opens up the corner more as we head onto the Wellington Straight, and Hamilton feels the need to defend to the middle of the track, looking in his mirrors to see where the young 19-year-old Italian is behind him, through the left-hander of Brooklands, round the right of Luffield, and closer still comes Antonelli. But Hamilton putting that Ferrari in all the right places as we barrel roll towards the fast right-hander of Copse. And it's a really good exit from Antonelli, who sweeps to the inside at Copse and takes second place away from Lewis Hamilton, who just had to save a bit of energy. Antonelli sweeps through and takes P2. Hamilton trying to stick with him though. Can he fight back with anything that Ferrari's got as they come out of Chapel down the Hangar Straight? Antonelli Antonelli runs a bit wide, kicks up a bit of dust into Hamilton's visor, but we get to the right-hander of Stowe. Antonelli confirms P2. Hamilton now chasing behind.
And this is the deployment that everyone's been talking about, the ability for Mercedes to put the juice from the battery through the electric motor and into the rear wheels better than anyone else. Out of Woodcock, they were. It was incredible how he managed to accelerate. Watching a replay now, and it's as reminiscent of the clash between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, but this time Kimi Antonetti just had more overtake ability and got past Lewis Hamilton before they got to the apex of Copse.
About 12:52 here at Silverstone. Charles Leclerc leads by almost 4 seconds, but from Kimi Antonelli now in the Mercedes second. Hamilton third, Russell fourth, Max Verstappen the top 5. That's what's happening here in Silverstone. Let's just hear from Max Verstappen.
Already fulfill that sound. I haven't already taken, but the junctions are so...
Max Verstappen complaining about the downshifts. His gearbox not to his liking there for the Dutchman.
Downshifts, trouble or not, he's closing in on George Russell's Mercedes. Russell can't do anything about the cars in front, it seems, but he's got lots of pressure building from Verstappen from behind.
Yeah, Verstappen currently in 5th and closing in on George Russell. That is what is happening here at Silverstone. Let's send you back to Wimbledon with James Gregg. What's happening with Novak Djokovic?
Well, his quest for an 8th Wimbledon title is well on track. A set-up after that brilliant first-set tie-break against Roman Safiullin. A break-up and now on serve at 4-2 in the second on centre court. And just across the way there on court 1, Jess Pegula, former US Open finalist, has won in 3 sets against fellow American Iva Jovic. So the 4th seed safely through to the last 16.
Wimbledon coverage continues over on Sports Extra right now here on 5 Live, though our focus is round 9 of the Formula 1 World Championship here at Silverstone, the home of the sports. Charles Leclerc leads, Antonelli, Hamilton still keeping within a second behind, Russell 4th, Verstappen 5th, Hadjar, Norris, Lawson, Lindblad and Gabriel Bortoleto the top 10. They are your point scorers, and let's check in with Rosanna Tennant.
Even before that impressive overtake by Kimi Antonelli on Lewis Hamilton, Hamilton had been on the radio, Harry, saying that he was struggling with front left graining. The pit lane's pretty quiet right now. The mechanics sitting down on chairs inside the garages. We're not expecting the pit stop window to open till around lap 24, so a good another 10 laps to go at least, even up to lap 29 if you're going to switch onto that soft tyre. But I imagine now that Hamilton's got that time penalty, the Ferrari pit wall are going to potentially do something different with the strategy, maybe bring him in a little earlier if he is indeed struggling with some graining. And Harry, more Wimbledon crossover for you. I've just been watching Billie Jean King walking through the paddock here. Tennis stars here in the F1 world as well.
Oh, 10 out of 10, Rosanna. We love a Wimbledon crossover, and we'll be continuing to give you updates what is happening at Wimbledon today throughout the course of this British Grand Prix. But if you want to listen to it uninterrupted, it is over on Sports Extra. Outside of the top 10, Gasly's 11th ahead of Colapinto. The Alpines managing to make their way up from where they started. Sainz, having had a rocket ship of a start, has now fallen down to 13th, along with Esteban Ocon behind. Hulkenberg 15th, Perez is 16th, Behrman, having been biffed off the road on lap 1 by Alex Albon, is in 17th, Bottas 18th, Stroll is 19th, having started from the pit lane, Fernando Alonso 20th. Oscar Piastri picked up front wing damage on lap 1 after sliding into Liam Lawson's Racing Bulls, so changed his front wing and is out there on the hard tyre. But a long old race for the Australian, down in 21st, only ahead of Alex Albon, who received a 10-second time penalty and also then pitted for damage, is already a lap down, and Albon's woes continue at Williams this season, 22nd and last.
And Max Verstappen is definitely getting now into the 1 second barrier or opportunity for him to start using his more charging that he can do on the battery and get closer to George Russell in front of him.
This is the sound, though, of Lando Norris chasing Isaac Hadjar through the right-hander of Luffield. Couple of tenths quicker is Lando Norris last lap around, trying to pick off the Red Bull man, who's had a good weekend so far. Hadjar outqualified his teammate and felt that 5th place on the grid was the maximum he could have got out of it. And for Max Verstappen, though, a couple of tenths away from his teammate, but not happy at all with the balance of his Red Bull this weekend and the power deployment from the Red Bull Ford powertrain that supplies the Milton Keynes-based team. But as we head onto the Hanger Straight and towards the right-hander of Stowe, Hadjar is just able to elongate that gap out. And heading down to the final complex of corners, the left-hander of Vale down at turn 16 pitches you up over the right-hander. It sets you up nicely for the final corner at Club.
I tell you what, Harry, at the front you would have expected Kimi Antonelli to start closing on Charles Leclerc in the lead, but he isn't doing. At the moment, 3 laps in a row, Leclerc has held him absolutely dead level at 4.5 seconds. It's very impressive performance from Leclerc so far.
Yeah, it is, certainly, for Charles Leclerc, who has had a battle with himself on and off the track over the course of this season, has had to rather sit behind in the wheel tracks of Lewis Hamilton, not been happy with his brakes, and the feeling of the car has made a more philosophical change coming into this weekend and adapting within himself. Has that clicked for the Monegasque? We shall see. Still early stages though, lap 15 of 52. Meanwhile, next closest battle on the track is still George Russell, who's looking vulnerable here. The Mercedes man who sits second in the Drivers' Championship is only half a second clear of the sound of Max Verstappen, the 4-time world champion. And Verstappen in the Red Bull, 28-year-old, honing in on 27-year-old George Russell down the Hanger Straight.
And it looks more of a handful for Max, but then this is what he does. This is why we're just watching a Lindblad radio message. Can you turn to hurry up, please? Copy or pass that message. That's from Lindblad's, talking about his teammate, I guess.
Yes, it is. Arvid Lindblad's down in 9th with Liam Lawson up in 8th, and it was Lindblad who actually out-qualified his teammate for this weekend, so Lindblad will not be happy to now be behind him, but he's about a second behind, and there were some rather unfortunate team orders and a bit of a debacle for the Racing Bulls drivers last time out in Austria, so a few tensions spilling over down at Red Bull's sister team. Lap 16 of 52. Let's check in with the Rugby League. Matt Newsom.
Yeah, this first Magic Weekend derby between Leeds and Bradford in 14 years. It's going the way of Leeds at the moment. 12-0, 2 tries for them. One from Brodie Croft, the other from Chris Hankinson. They have the advantage at the moment. Leeds 12, Bradford 0.
And that's over on Sports Extra 3. If you'd like to listen to that here on 5 Live, we're looking at the battle for 4th place in this British Grand Prix with Max Verstappen chasing down George Russell, and these two have come together on track and off it before. Verstappen just biding his time, but Mercedes with an incredibly efficient power unit. Red Bull, though, declared by the governing body as having officially the best power units in all of the grid, means they don't get any tokens for the first part of this upgrade. But Verstappen closing down the Hanger Straight into the right-hander of Stowe, and Russell still able to just stay ahead.
And on that Red Bull power unit subject, Harry, we had the visit of Christian Horner to the paddock, who's now, he's permitted back, I think. So there was a massive kind of hornet's nest of cameras and journalists trying to get to him as he came through the paddock earlier, and he's pronounced that he's looking for an opportunity to get back to competing, and one of the proudest things that he's achieved has been to take the decision for Red Bull to have their own power unit manufacturer. So he's pretty proud of himself and of Red Bull for producing this power unit, and of course it's but now become a victim of its own success because other people are allowed to catch up.
And certainly catching up is Max Verstappen right in the wheel tracks of George Russell coming into Brooklands, closes up under braking, tries to follow Russell through the right-hander, coming out of Luffield, takes a slightly wider line on the exit. Russell with the advantage of track position through the right-hand kink of Woodcote. Verstappen closes in, Russell moves to the inside, Verstappen sweeps round the outside at Copse and through on Russell. Verstappen up to 4th, Russell drops to 5th.
Well, that was extraordinary. He just came out of Woodcote, did Max Verstappen, and he had so much more momentum. He's obviously used his overtake boost and the opportunity of charging the battery a little bit more and George was a sitting duck. This time Max went to the outside, whereas
well, Russell's trying to come back at him down the hanger straight, moves to the inside. Verstappen holds the line and just forces Russell to change track. This isn't giving up, and actually Verstappen comes into pit at the end of that lap, moves over to the right-hand side. Russell continues on, slows it all down for the pit lane and heads to the Red Bull stop. Rosanna Tennant is watching.
And the Red Bull mechanics are ready and waiting for Max Verstappen, and they go to work straight away. It's a quick stop, and he's back out already. A 2.6 stop, so nice and steady. Out he goes. It is hot in the pit lane, Harry.
It is very hot, 24.9 degrees air temp, track temperature 42.6 degrees. But Max Verstappen then coming in at the end of lap 18. That's an early stop for the Dutchman, trying to do something different.
As they always do, Red Bull are one of the most cunning race strategist teams in Formula One, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of what happened there. Was he may have used up all of his battery as a strategy, because then you don't need to get overtaken. He nearly got overtaken by George, but he definitely drained his battery and then came in the pits, went for a new set of tyres. So he's gained a place and maybe a little bit of time by using the juicer.
Well, I wonder, we know the undercut can be a good use of advantage around here, having just got through. Verstappen pitting, he comes out in 7th spot behind Lando Norris, and crucially in a ton of clean air, having just dispatched Russell. So perhaps Red Bull will just want to get him out of clean air, and if he can hold on to those hard tyres all the way to the end, it's going to be a long old stint for George Russell, or for Max Verstappen, or if there's some kind of safety car or virtual safety car intervention, that could really help out Verstappen here. But he's dropped down into 7th of lap 19 of 52. Charles Leclerc still leads this race, 4.1 seconds the gap between himself and Kimi Antonelli. That's here in Silverstone. Let's head back to James Gregg and check in at Wimbledon.
Out of the screws of the racket now. He's lit up centre court there in that second set. 6-3 he took it over Roman Safulin. So 2 sets to the good now is the big serve. The backspin, one-handed backhand, maybe the tennis equivalent of an undercut in F1. Who knows? Djokovic, 2 sets to the good.
Oh, very good, James. We like that. We like that a lot. Lap 19 of 52 here. And we'll see if that undercut from Max Verstappen pays dividends over the course of the next few laps. Let's run you through how it stands, though, right now. Leclerc, Antonelli, Hamilton, the top 3. A reminder, Hamilton has a 5-second time penalty for jumping the start, and he'll have to serve that at his first pit stop. Russell 4th, Hadjar the top 5. Lando Norris closing in on him, though. Max Verstappen, having pitted onto the hard tyre a little earlier than we all expected, is 7th. Liam Lawson and Arvid Lindblad, the British rookie, is 9th, with Gabriel Bortoletto for Audi at the moment holding on to the final points-paying position in 10th. The 2 Alpines of Pierre Gasly and Franco Colapinto are 11th and 12th. Carlos Sainz is 13th, with Ocon and Perez for Cadillac rounding out the top 15. Behrman, having been biffed off the road by Albon at the start of the Grand Prix, is 16th. Bottas behind. Hulkenberg 18th. He's also stopped in the last lap and moved on to the hard tyre, with Piastri having picked up front wing damage early doors, down in 19th, having stopped. Alonso 20th, Stroll 21st, and Albon also with a penalty and an early pit stop, down in 22nd and last. As now we're getting more action in the pit lane again from the second Red Bull now. Isaac Hadjar comes in, hits his marks. The Red Bull mechanics get to work. Rosanna's watching.
A little bit slower there for the Red Bull mechanics. A 4.3 stop for the French driver. He is back out now, so a little bit of problem. I couldn't quite see where it was, but it definitely slowed him down. But he is back out now in the fast lane, in the pit lane.
Yeah, which the exit carves round the right-hand side, so you sort of cut off turn 1 and you're fed out right into the path of cars. And Hadjar doesn't quite get ahead of Bortoletto in the Audi, who sweeps through the loop and gets up into 9th. Hadjar feeds out in 10th spot, and I didn't quite glance. I think he is on the hard tyre though as well. Yes, Hadjar has also followed his teammate and moved on to the hard tyre, and is going to try and dispatch Bortoletto as quickly as possible. Tries to move to the inside, cuts off the distance to the apex through Brooklands, takes a much tighter line through the right-hander of Luffield. Has a little bit of a snap though on the exit as he tries to apply the power. This should be easy for the Red Bull, who gets alongside Bortoletto and is through by the time they get to Copse, and Hadjar can now set off and up the road.
Yeah, but that slow pit stop for Hadjar has definitely helped Lando Norris now, who just needs to do a clean pit stop. He should come out ahead of him, of Isaac Hadjar, who he was about to overtake. So he was right on his tail. So it's actually given him a free overtake in a way.
Yeah, for a pit stop, you'll lose about 20 seconds of time in this race. It halves if we get any kind of safety car or virtual safety car. Lap 21 of 52. Let's head over to Lords and check in with Ellie Oldroyd.
First over of the 20 has gone in the England innings, 7 without loss, just one boundary from Amy Jones in that first over. And England, coming out to bat first after Australia won the toss. And when the players came out for the national anthems, we saw Nat Sciver-Brunt, the England captain, walking out carrying her little son Theo, which was a moment of real moment on this very family day here at Lords. England 7 without loss after the first over of 20.
Ball-by-ball coverage over on Sports Extra. More action in the pit lane. This time it's the Williams of Carlos Sainz who comes in from further down in the field. The battle for the lead starting to get a little interesting, just closing the gap now down to 3.5 seconds. Leclerc leads, Antonelli chasing, Hamilton sits in third as we join him on board. Is he going to come in for a pit stop? No, stays on out. Russell fourth, Norris fifth, Verstappen, Lawson, Lindblad, Hadjar and Bortoletto the top 10. In the top 10, only the 2 Red Bulls have pitted, Verstappen and Hadjar, and they've both got onto the hard tyre.
Well, the key to this will be whether or not, if Charles pits first, whether or not Antonelli stays out for any more laps or whether he just covers him. Because if he covers him, he may not get past, he may not overtake in the pit stop. So, it may be that he's got more pace in clear air, and they'll be doing that calculation and talking to him on the radio. I doubt that he'll come in before Charles does, but virtual safety car.
Virtual safety car out. Everybody slows down and hits a delta that is displayed to them on their steering wheels. And the idea is designed so that nobody gains or loses, and it's because of a rogue umbrella that has found its way onto the circuit, and Marshall already picking it up and clearing it away. Will anyone bite the bullet for a pit stop? One of the Haas cars is coming in because you'll lose half the amount of time under a virtual safety car. However, it's a quick one. The VSC is ending. Esteban Ocon is trying to use it to gain a bit of time in this race. None of the big hitters, though, using it. Antonelli, though, in second, now just over 3 seconds back from Charles Leclerc as we're back to green flag running.
Yeah, they weren't in the right position were they to do a pit stop, so it was a very momentary interruption for someone's umbrella. Please keep your umbrellas folded.
Well, looking at that umbrella, you could see how powerful the wind was out there. Wind speed extremely high around this circuit, and really can pay havoc with the feel and the balance of these Formula One cars as we are on lap 23 of 52. Leclerc leads by 3.8 seconds.
Geez, mate, got so much under there. It's crazy. Car just won't turn.
And that's Leclerc's teammate Lewis Hamilton, who's really struggling to just turn the car in as he fights down in third place. There's been a wicket in the cricket. Ellie Oldroyd.
Yes, and Amy Jones is out, the opener driving off Hamilton, caught at slip by Vol. She was out for 6, so Nat Sciver-Brunt coming out, called on early, the England captain, and driving the first ball that she faced for 4. 11 for 1 England, and we're in the second over.
Ball-by-ball coverage over on Sports Extra for that one, as Arvid Lindblad down in 8th for Racing Bulls. Yet to pits has the Red Bull of Isaac Hadjar all over the back of him. Franco Colapinto coming into the pits further down for Alpine. Hadjar looking to displace Lindblad rather quickly. Hadjar on relatively new hard tyres, having pitted just a couple of laps ago. None of the top 5 have yet to approach the pit lane. And Arvid Lindblad not exactly getting out of the way for the big sister team here, Damon.
No, Arvid is definitely trying to make a name for himself by showing he's a relentless competitor. But we're watching them coming down to Cox, and it looks like Isaac Hadjar has finally got past. That cost him time, of course. Isaac Hadjar is in a race with Lando Norris.
And box. box. And my tyres are still good. My tyres are still good.
Lewis Hamilton was told to box. He says his tyres are still good, but Rosanna, he's in the pit lane.
He certainly is. Yeah, he obviously did not want to come in. Of course, the mechanics not allowed to touch the car, serving that time penalty, and now they go to work, Harry. But in the meantime, George Russell has come in, a 3-second stop time for the Mercedes driver, and Lewis Hamilton is now out following the Mercedes driver down the fast lane of the pit lane. Obviously at odds with his team there, Lewis Hamilton not wanting to come in. His tyres, he felt, still had life in them.
Yeah, thanks, Rosanna. So a big benefit there for George Russell, who gains a net position. Where's this going to feed? Russell and Hamilton out. Russell gets out fairly cleanly in 5th. Bit of traffic to contend with for Lewis Hamilton in the form of the Aston Martins. Crucially gets out ahead of them. And Hamilton now, having had that 5-second time penalty served, has been told his out lap is critical. That first lap out of the pits, get those tyres up to temperature, close that gap down to George Russell. This is the sound of the 9-time winner looking for a 10th British Grand Prix victory, but at the moment it's his teammate who is sitting pretty up inside, leading this race. Hamilton making his way towards Copse now, the flat-out right-hander. And so the first of the front runners have bit the bullet to pit, both going on the hard tyre, Russell and Hamilton. Meanwhile, just saw a slightly slow pit stop for Pierre Gasly, who's fed out behind Carlos Sainz down in 14th, and on his exit nearly taking out one of the Cadillac mechanics, I think. But everyone getting out safely there, and as Gasly's about to pick off Carlos Sainz for 13th place in this race.
Yeah, I'm just looking at lap times of the guys that have changed tyres, and if you look at Russell's last lap time, it's almost exact same as Kimi Antonelli's, who's still on his medium tyres and hasn't stopped yet. The top 3 have yet to stop, and Kimi Antonelli still maintaining a gap of just over 2.5 seconds, nearly 3 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. I can't help but feel that he's going to go maybe a bit longer if Charles pits, but it all depends on the lap time where he gets in clean air.
That's the voice of the 1996 Formula 1 World Champion Damon Hill alongside myself, Harry Benjamin. This is 5 Live Formula 1 coverage of the 9th round of the championship, brought to you from Silverstone, the home of motorsport, for the British Grand Prix. 5 British drivers in the field, 4 of them starting in the top 10, but it's Charles Leclerc for Ferrari, started in 2nd, who picked polester Kimi Antonelli to turn 1, and Charles Leclerc has led the way ever since. 2.6 seconds the gap to Antonelli, and Leclerc now comes into the pits. A lap ago, it was his teammate Lewis Hamilton who served a 5-second time penalty for jumping the start. That's lost him a position to his compatriot George Russell. Russell and Hamilton down in 5th and 6th right now. Needs to be a speedy stop, this, from Ferrari. Front left goes on with a little bit of a delay, but other than that, it's nice and clean. 2.4 seconds, the Monegasque delivered back into this race. Kimi Antonelli stays out and takes the lead of the Grand Prix as Leclerc feeds back out of the pit lane on the hard tyre now in 2nd.
Those drivers that have switched to new tyres are starting to set fastest sector times. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell are now getting purple sector times there. You don't want to be out for too long if the guys who've changed tyres are making gains on you. The question is how much of a gain and how long can they keep that up for. Lewis's lap time is the quickest lap time of the race so far as a 32.3, and Kimi Antonelli is doing a 34, so but we haven't yet seen what he's able to do in completely clear air on board.
This will be interesting here. This is the sound of Kimi Antonelli. Has he still got enough left in his tyres? The gap you need is 20 seconds for a pit stop. Right now he doesn't have that, but could he start to try and find a little bit of time in the Mercedes tank? Antonelli leads, having yet to pit. Leclerc 2nd, Norris yet to pit is 3rd. Verstappen has pitted and was the first to come in to the pits early on lap 18.
We are P6, we are fighting for the podium, P3.
That's what Hamilton's told. He's fighting for P3, 3rd place in this race. Down in 6th at the moment, behind George Russell. So that's how Ferrari think this is going to unfold. We could well see, a 6-car battle then for the podium places.
Yeah, this is going to be quite good to watch, isn't it? The Ferrari versus the Mercedes. You've got Lewis and George. Lewis looking quite fighty at the moment. It's sometimes not the case that the car feels as good on the different tyres, but the hard tyre seems to be working at the moment, at least, for Lewis Hamilton, still setting fastest lap times.
So when Charles Leclerc came into the pits, Kimi Antonelli had the lead down to 2.5 seconds. Now, he's come out again, and Leclerc is 16 seconds behind Antonelli. He's setting purple and green sectors. That's fastest of the race for purple, and green is fastest for him. So Leclerc will close in on Antonelli while we wait for Antonelli to stop. So we're going to have the age-old situation where a guy behind on fresher tyres is trying to close down on a driver in front with an advantage on older tyres. Here's Antonelli's radio.
Don't let other people undercut me.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on it, Kimi.
Don't let other people undercut me. That's what Kimi Antonelli is saying.
So he's worried there. He's obviously trying to extend as long as possible to give himself as fresh tyres as possible to come back at Leclerc. What he doesn't want is to have more cars than necessary to pass when he does that.
Half-time in the Rugby League, Matt Newson.
Yeah, half-time Magic Weekend, and Leeds Rhinos, the Super League leaders, are picking up where they have left off so far this season. They lead Bradford 30 points to 4, 5 tries in the first half. The only thing that we are still waiting for from their perspective is a try for Mike Acebo. He's already up to 29 for the year. Bradford have been a little bit limited in what they've been able to do, but they have replied through Callum Akins. But at half-time, all Leeds, it's Leeds 30, Bradford 4.
Lap 28 of 52 here at the British Grand Prix. Kimi Antonelli, the Italian for Mercedes, leads this race but has yet to pit. 15.4 seconds the gap between himself and the race leader who pitted a lap ago, Charles Leclerc, in second. Lando Norris also yet to pit in third. Max Verstappen was the early pit stopper. First to come in from the front runners is in fourth. Russell is fifth and doesn't look like he's got the pace to match his teammate today. Sixth is Hamilton, who's been told he is in the fight for P3 at a podium position. Hadjar seventh, Lawson eighth. Lindblad, the British rookie, is coming to the pits for his first stop, down in ninth. Bortoletto, who has had a pit stop from 10th, feeds back out into this race as Lando Norris looks like he will be next to frequent the pit lane from third in his McLaren.
Yeah, just love that message from Kimi Antonelli there. He's 19 years old. He's already issuing orders to the team of what he likes to have happen and what he doesn't want to have happen. So, yeah, he's showing all the signs of an incredibly accomplished driver already at his young age. He's got to, drivers like this understand the tactics as well as just driving fast.
So, battle brewing here for 4th, 5th and 6th on the road as it currently stands. Verstappen in the Red Bull is 4th. Russell in the Mercedes is 5th. Hamilton is now right on the back of Russell. He just locks up a tad coming into the left-hander of Vale as Lando Norris does come into the pit lane. Rosanna.
Yeah, and he's already back out. The mechanic's working incredibly hard in the McLaren garage. He's back out. A nice quick stop for the reigning world champion, but he's still got work to do to try and get himself onto the podium this afternoon. Liam Lawson also in the pit lane as well, so it's getting a little busier down here now, Harry.
Thanks, Rosanna. Out onto the Wellington straight comes the Red Bull of Verstappen, now up into third with Norris feeding out in 7th place, but Verstappen has close company with George Russell and Lewis Hamilton there toe-to-toe as they all head round in formation through the right-hander of Luffield. Better exit from the Red Bull. That could leave George Russell slightly vulnerable to the Ferrari of Hamilton, which is the sound you can hear. Hamilton is going to be forced to go round the outside at Copse with Russell to his inside. They both have survived. Has Hamilton come out ahead? Only just, but Russell's not giving this one up. Into Maggins and Beckett side by side. That doesn't work, but it does. Hamilton goes through in spectacular fashion and takes the position from his old teammate, but Russell's not done yet. We're on the hanger straight and Russell's back through. Hamilton down to 5th, Russell up to 4th, and that allows Verstappen to escape up the road.
Yeah, well, they were squabbling, and what a battle that was. A wheel-to-wheel, high-speed cornering, near crash that was, but they've allowed Max to get a little bit of a breather while they were doing that, and Lewis has dropped back now a little bit. they've obviously used a little bit more battery, a little bit more tyres, and they were doing so well. They were putting pressure on Max, and now he's got away from them again. But this is brilliant stuff.
Oh, fantastic from the former teammates as they decide to let a few corners go by, catch their breath. But already as we head into turn 4, out through the loop, Aintree will be next, the left-hand kink that sets you up for the Wellington straight. Hamilton already right onto the back of George Russell once again. Antonelli still leads this race, hasn't pitted. 14.5 seconds clear of Charles Leclerc, who has Max Verstappen, the early pit stop, with that undercut working well, but he'll suffer for it with older tyres to those who are behind him, which are George Russell in 4th, Lewis Hamilton in 5th. But while they squabble, that is allowing Verstappen up the road as Lando Norris, coming into the left-hander of Brooklands, picks off the second Red Bull of Hadjar. Nice move from the reigning world champion round the outside. That becomes the inside at Luffield, and Norris on fresher rubber is now up to 6th. Hadjar down to 7th. It's lap 30 of 52.
Guys, let's vote. We're losing to one side for Leclerc.
Oh, let's go around one more. The plan is looking good.
So Kimi Antonelli having an argument with his engineer there. He wants to box. He feels he's losing too much time to Leclerc.
He's losing time, but you've seen what's happened with these guys behind Max Verstappen. He's done 12 laps on his hard tyre, and they've only done 4 and 6 laps on their respective hard tyres, and they're faster than Max Verstappen. So what will happen is Kimi will come out behind Charles, but he'll have a much better tyre, and Charles's Leclerc's tyres have done 5 laps now, so he'll have a 5 laps or 6 lap advantage on his tyres.
Oh, coming through into Village out of Farm, and Russell defending from Hamilton, who's been lining up a move all the way since the final 3 corners. Compromised Russell on the exit, tighter line out through the loop. Hamilton almost pushing his compatriot out of the corner. 2 Brits fighting for 4th and 5th on the road. This could be a podium position come the end of the race. Round the outside for Lewis Hamilton, coming into the left-hander at Brooklands. The crowd goes wild. 2 Brits fighting it out on track, but the man who's won here 9 times gets the position out through Woodcote. Hamilton ahead. Russell, though, closes in right back up towards him in the inside at Copse. Through again now goes Russell. It's back and forth racing here at Silverstone. Russell 4th, Hamilton 5th as we head into Maggots and Beckett's. Can Hamilton close up on the exit at Chapel? Coming down the hanger straight, I think Russell might just have it in hand this lap around. I think he does, and Verstappen still only a few tenths up the road. So whilst this allows the Red Bull driver a bit of a reprieve, it's not by much. Let's see how this battle unfolds. Meanwhile, what's unfolding over at Wimbledon? James Gregg.
Well, Novak Djokovic really wants to minimise his court time. It's crucial for him, isn't it, at 39 years of age? So at 2 sets to love up, he'll have been really cross to have been broken by the qualifier Roman Safulin. However, Djokovic, he does what he does best because he's broken back. And at 2 games apiece, Djokovic on serve in the 3rd. He might well get a bit of rest.
Full coverage over on Sports Extra 2. For the goings-on at Wimbledon, for the goings-on here at Silverstone. It is lap 32 of the British Grand Prix. Kimi Antonelli yet to pits from the leads, which he inherited after Charles Leclerc came into the pits. Leclerc coming out in 2nd. His teammate Lewis Hamilton has been told, you're doing well, just be patient, you will make it past George Russell, which is his contender. That there's a fight that's been going on for the last 3 laps.
Henry, that was some of the bravest driving I've seen. I keep thinking of Nigel Mansell when I see Lewis in the Ferrari, and he's definitely not lost any of his courage. He's put himself in some very risky positions trying to get past George in some brilliant wheel-to-wheel action, and if it is yo-yo racing, I'm all for it. It's fantastic.
At 41 years of age, Lewis Hamilton, a breakthrough victory with Ferrari just a few weeks ago at the Barcelona Grand Prix. And well and truly arriving on the scene at Ferrari now. And talk of a championship challenge, he'll need to show more consistency. Ferrari will need to show more consistency. The other car, though, is in a fight for the victory. Hamilton is in a fight for the podium. But anything can happen here at Silverstone. Drama is only ever a corner away.
Listen to the crowd. This is fantastic stuff. They're really appreciating this. They're getting a great show. all their money's worth, I think, is being delivered here at the British Grand Prix. And I've been watching Kimi Antonelli's lap times, and he's actually stabilised. He's been losing a bit to Charles, but not a lot. He's actually stabilised a little bit of the loss, and now he has a 7-lap advantage when he comes in over Charles Leclerc. When he comes in, eventually he has to come in for his new tyres, and they'll go to the hard tyre and they'll go to the end.
Antonelli, Leclerc, the top two. Then comes this fantastic fight. Verstappen in third, Russell fourth, Hamilton fifth. While they fight, that is allowing Lando Norris to just chip away at the gap. He's a further 12 seconds away, though, in sixth. Hadjar seventh. The two Racing Bulls looking to extend their consecutive run of point scores, with 8th for Lawson, 9th for Lindblad, and Gabriel Bortoleto at the moment looking to add to his point tally, which he hasn't done so since round one, all the way back in March in Australia.
We've got slow puncher right rear.
Slow puncher.
You do.
Slow puncher, right rear. George Russell is told that on the radio. He's coming through Maggotts and Beckett's now. He's had a great launch actually out of the corner, all over the back of Max Verstappen, but they're going to have to pit him if that's going to turn into a bigger puncher. He moves to the inside at Stowe. Verstappen holds his line round the outside. Russell going wheel to wheel, but is Russell going to peel off into the pit lane here? And he doesn't. He stays out on track.
Yeah, he doesn't have much luck, does he, George? This is incredible. I mean, just as he's looking like he's able to attack on Max, now he's racing with a slow puncher. The question is, how slow? I mean, you don't need much, and these tyres will suddenly fail if they get deflated. So it's almost certain that he's going to have to pit, and the option for him is, we're watching now shots of the guys in the Mercedes pit lane putting tyres away. So they probably thought that George is coming in, and he's not come in. So it really is a question of whether or not it's safe to carry on.
Keep me posted on the pressures is what George Russell is told, and he's going to box this lap. But those radio messages are slightly odd, but we'll see. But if that slow puncher turns into anything more, there might well be curtains, at least in the battle for a podium position here this afternoon for the man who sits second in the Drivers' Championship, out through the right-hander of Luffield. This is where we've seen a lot of the moves being done so far. Can Hamilton force a way past Russell on this occasion? No, he can't. We'll see how this unfolds once they head through Maggotts and Beckett's. Let's send you back over to Lords. Ellie Oldroyd.
Yep, T20 World Cup final. Danny Wyatt-Hodge is out, England's leading scorer in the tournament, caught behind down the leg side off the bowling of Annabelle Sutherland for 8. Wasn't given on the field, but Beth Mooney appealing for the catch and given on review with the tiniest flick on ultra edge. 32 for 2 England. We're just coming to the end of the 5th over.
Ball-by-ball coverage over on Sports Extra as wheel to wheel and almost forced into the pit lane, whether it was his decision or not. Verstappen forces Russell into the pits, but Russell told to box either way, but they were going hammer and tong, and it was like they weren't. Russell with a slow puncher forced to pit, having just overtaken Max Verstappen near enough, and falls out of contention for perhaps a podium place and crucial points in his battle with his own teammate in the championship. Fall away for the British driver who cannot catch a break.
Cannot catch a break, but he's actually given a break to Lewis Hamilton now, who is in pole position to attack Max Verstappen, who seems to be struggling to hold on. He's got older tyres than Lewis behind him, and I think this is only a matter of time before we see these two great drivers doing it all over again. Possibly even in the same corner as they come up now out of Woodcote, coming up towards Copse, and Lewis is right behind Max Verstappen.
Rewind to 2021 at Copse in the early part of the Grand Prix, and it was curtains for Max Verstappen and drama for Lewis Hamilton too, this time in 2026. They both made their way through, now through Maggotts and Beckett's, as Kimi Antonelli has come into the pits from the race lead. He will lose that lead, and he's actually slowed down by an Audi of Nico Hulkenberg there, so that's actually cost Antonelli time as he feeds out. Overall, it's a 2.4 second pit stop for Antonelli. Let's see where he feeds out in this battle. Verstappen's coming through Stowe now into the braking zone down at Vale, the left-hander of 16. Then you flick to the double right-hander that sees off a lap, and Antonelli feeding out through turns 1 and 2. Now Leclerc goes through, the gap around 7 seconds. We cross the line for lap 36. Leclerc leads the British Grand Prix. Antonelli is second, Verstappen third, Hamilton fourth, Norris 5th, Hadjar is 6th, Russell has come out of the pits for a second stop on his medium tyres now in 7th, Lawson, Lindblad and Bortoletto, the top 10.
Yeah, we'll expect to see a string of fastest laps now, that when once Kimi Antonelli gets those hard tyres up to temperature, he's got the freshest rubber out there of anybody, stayed out longer, and Charles will come under enormous pressure. He'll be watching his gap that he's enjoyed for so many laps to Kimi Antonelli actually start to be eaten away pretty rapidly.
He's already displaced Hadjar. Damon, who's winning this Grand Prix?
I think it's going to be very tight, but I think Kimi Antonelli, we'll look at the first, we'll wait until we see what lap times he's able to do. But he was almost matching Charles's time, maybe giving away 3/10 on his old tyres, so it's only a matter of time before he starts taking chunk seconds out of him.
Turn 15 incident involving Russell and Verstappen has been noted. Now, that was quite aggressive from Max Verstappen. Whether he knew Russell was coming into the pits or not, practically forced the decision for Russell and Mercedes anyway. Do you think anything could come of that?
Yeah, well, I think I was expecting Max to complain about that, because it looked like George was actually forcing him off the road. And so it was a bit of an odd thing that we saw George come straight in. It looked like they were still racing, but these two do not give each other much, do they?
They don't. As Antonelli is told, you've got a 10-lap tyre offset, which is looking good for Antonelli. His tyres then meaning are 10 laps cleaner, fresher than Charles Leclerc, who leads this race. The gap already down to 6.5 seconds. It was just over 7 seconds when Antonelli pitted a lap ago. So the battle is on then for victory here at the British Grand Prix between Ferrari and Mercedes.
Yeah, Kimi Antonelli, he's learning all about the way this team works. Mercedes works, the strategy, they're masters at it. Pete Bonington, his engineer, gives him the reassuring, don't worry, we've got it under control. We're not going to let you be undercut. We have got a plan here, and we know you can do it.
Outside of the top 10, Colapinto and Gasly 11th and 12th. Piastri, who's had a shocker so far today with his front wing damage on lap 1, down to 13th now as he tries to recover. Sainz 14th, Hülkenberg 15th. That's a second pit stop for the German driver, and it was a year ago he got his first podium in his Formula One career. Did the Hulk. Piastri comes into the pits for another stop. Behrman, Ocon, Perez, Bottas and Alonso, the top 20. Stroll and Albon, 21st and 22nd, as battling through Stowe. It's Red Bull v Ferrari. It's Verstappen versus Hamilton. Hamilton to the outside down at Vale, tries to get the cut back, opens up the right-hand corner, will carry more momentum out the final corner. Verstappen with a nose ahead, and it's Linus Stern coming towards the flat-out turn 1 of Abbey. Ferrari flashes through, chasing the Red Bull, carving their way through the left-hander of Farm, downhill braking into Village, the right-hander. Hamilton, a much tighter line, allows him to open up the loop. Verstappen looks at his mirrors left and right. He sees Hamilton to his left-hand side. He cuts him off through the left-hander, out down the Wellington straight. The rear wing and front wing both open, straight line mode activated side by side. Ferrari of Hamilton sweeps round the outside, coming into Brooklands, and there is a huge roar from the grandstands as Hamilton overtakes Verstappen for third place in this race.
Yeah, spine-tingling stuff there. You can hear the crowd, they're going mad, they're loving this racing, and also they're loving the fact that Lewis Hamilton has moved up a place ahead of Max Verstappen. Max had no answer for that. It was going to happen at some point or other, it's just whether or not they took each other off.
We've got a car stopped. It's Nico Hülkenberg with an issue. Hülkenberg, I think, coming, is that the old pit lane that he's just at down around about...
it's Chapel, isn't
Chapel,
it?
just before.
Yeah. It's...
and Hülkenberg's out of this race. Yellow flag out there. That's on the exit of turn 9. So just at the exit of Copse before you get into Maggotts and Beckett's, and that could bring out a virtual safety car. It has. Verstappen's coming into the pit lane. You save 10 seconds under a virtual safety car.
Wow, this is quick thinking, but
it's really interesting because Antonelli was storming towards Leclerc. He gained 1.7 seconds on the previous lap, but do Ferrari now take the opportunity It might not last long enough for VSC, but maybe they put Leclerc on fresh tyres, I don't know.
Yeah,
because otherwise he's going to lose this race.
Well, Hulkenberg's car was on the inside of the exit of Copse. I mean, it looked like it's well out of the way, so it should be easy to move that car quite quickly, but it might, even if it takes a minute or two, they've got time perhaps to pop in and get a new set of tyres. Where is...
More out. There's lots of action in the pit lane, Rosanna.
There really is. We've seen Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Isaac Hadjar. A bit of a problem for Hadjar. A slow stop for him. He's still there. Car comes down, clatters down onto the ground, and he is going again.
Ferrari we just heard that radio transmission. Leclerc was asking, he knows what's at stake here. He's asking, shall I come in? Ferrari are telling him to stay out. I think that's a mistake, because he's going to get eaten up by Antonelli. The only chance to do something different, the only chance to win this race for Ferrari is to do something different. Otherwise, it's a dead cert he's going to lose it.
I mean, Max's timing for that was absolutely perfect. He knew immediately that safety car got. He was straight in the pits, and he's gone to a new set of mediums, and everyone else is still tooling around. So he's only lost 10 seconds, but this is going to make things a little bit tricky. I don't know. Kimi Antonelli just gone on to new tyres. Charles could have maybe bit the safety car is now.
Yeah, well, the actual safety car is gone, but back up to green, flag racing, running. So those that chose to try and gain that advantage under the virtual safety car by pitting, Max Verstappen, one of them, Lando Norris, the other, Isaac Hadjar, two, those inside the top 10.
So just to be clear on that, Ferrari wouldn't have benefited from the time gain because the VSC had already ended before Leclerc got to the pit lane entry.
Yeah, it's about positioning, isn't it? Track positioning when it happens, when the safety car, virtual safety car signal comes on, and Red Bull were right in the prime spot for that, and they've definitely taken a gamble because they'd lost the position anyway to Lewis Hamilton, but now he is behind Lewis Hamilton on the track with a new set of medium tyres, so watch these lap times come down. But meanwhile, you've got Kimi Antonelli is now 4.7 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. I can't see Charles managing to be able to defend this. We've got 12 laps to go, and he's got 10 lap Kimi's got 10 lap newer tyres, and just so you know, it's about the loss over per lap on a set of tyres is probably 0.2 a second roughly every lap.
5-second time penalty for Lance Stroll, who's exceeded track limits.
I guess pushing, right?
Yeah, pushing.
I guess we're pushing, right? Max Verstappen asks his engineer Gianpiero Lambiase, and he confirms that. Right, lap 40 and 52. Charles Leclerc then is being reeled in by Kimi Antonelli at a rate of knots in second. Hamilton third, Verstappen fourth, looking to get onto the podium. Russell is fifth, Lando Norris sixth. Then comes Hadjar, Lawson, Lindblad and Bortoletto are the top 10. They are your point scorers as we head into the closing stages of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, so two battles now that are really key. Antonelli's hoovering up to the back of Leclerc for the race victory. Behind them, Hamilton on older tyres now is defending from Verstappen on fresh medium tyres for the final podium place.
No further investigation involving Verstappen and Russell for their incident down at turn 50.
I mean, it's more bad luck for George Russell, isn't it? I mean, he literally gets a puncture and then he changes tyres and then they have a virtual safety car. I mean, the guy can't get a break, but I mean, you have to say that Kimi Antonelli, whichever way you look at it, Kimi Antonelli is leading that team and leading the charge for the championship, and doesn't look like George has got an answer for it, but we'll never know because he was looking quite good, but anyway.
Well, Russell might not lose out because he was fourth before, right? Fourth or fifth, fighting for fourth or fifth, wasn't he? And he's come in under the VSC for fresh tyres himself, so
has he
might go with Verstappen and challenge Hamilton.
Yes, I see now he's on medium tyres, so he's gone back to the medium tyre they started on. He managed to get rid of the old tyres. I didn't notice that.
Something broken in the car.
Something's broken in the car for Kimi Antonelli. Is he slow down the Wellington Straight? We've spoken about reliability biting Formula One cars this year, particularly Mercedes lost out on a podium in Barcelona. Antonelli's coming into the pits. It's all come undone.
Okay, any more info?
Something broken.
Copy, any more info?
The car is like suspension. I don't know.
Antonelli's in the pits. He doesn't know what the situation is. Rosanna, what can you see?
He's just pulled into his pit box and the mechanics are straight on to work on the car. They're having a look. They're ready with a front wing. They're taking the old front wing off, so they're putting a new one on. but obviously they didn't have much info in terms of data. Asking Kimi Antonelli for feedback, the mechanics jump back, the car's lowered back down onto the floor, and he's away, Harry, so he's back out.
They send him back on his way. Charles Leclerc now continues to lead this Grand Prix, but from his teammate Lewis Hamilton, it's Ferrari 1 and 2 with Verstappen chasing in third, Russell fourth. Where does Antonelli feed out in this race? It should be fifth, Norris sixth, Hadjar seventh, Lawson, Lindblad, Bortoletto the top 10, just when it looked like it was all swinging the Italians' way. Reliability bites, but he's back out there. Will he have to retire, or is there still an issue?
Oh, this is absolutely dramatic. I mean, it's so unusual. We had so many...
Well, look at this, Damon. This is Kimi Antonelli going slow. Lando Norris breezes past down the inside through the Wellington straight. Antonelli goes straight on. He runs straight on. He runs deep. He goes into the grass. Antonelli slow.
Oh, Vader, suspension is broken.
Suspension broken.
Copy.
For Kimi Antonelli. That's what he reports on the radio when victory was looking like it was just about to fall his way. It slips from his grasp, and Kimi Antonelli is still out there through the right-hander at Copse, limping home.
Stand by, everyone, because Kimi Antonelli is driving back through a very high-loaded part of the circuit. He's on the radio again.
I can try to keep going.
We think it is just the wheel shield left-hand side.
The wheel shield on the left-hand side of the car. But as he's heading down the hangar straight now, he's down to sixth. Isaac Hadjar is closing in the second Red Bull through Stowe. What does Antonelli do? He stays out. He's going to continue on out there.
But the car is not turning.
Okay, stand by.
As he reports, the car is not turning and tries to get it through the final corner, but he's losing time. Heaps of it with every corner that goes by, and Hadjar is just a corner away from sweeping round the outside and through on Antonelli. He does so by the time they get to Village.
What I was going to say was, Harry, you know, he's driving a car which sounds like it's got a failing suspension part on it somewhere, and if he has an incident, they'll have another yellow flag.
Kimi Antonelli then falls down to seventh. Liam Lawson will be next on his tail. Lap 43 of 52. Charles Leclerc leads. Lewis Hamilton second.
Oh, but there's something fundamental, mate. In night, the car doesn't turn.
Okay, copy. So we'll box the car. So we'll retire the car.
I can try to get the point. At least 1 point.
Antonelli can try, maybe even just 1 point. Could that be crucial in a championship challenge? But he can barely drive the thing through Copse.
No, this is structurally... I don't think it can be structurally sound because he's going down the straight and his steering wheel's pointing to the right.
Okay, copy now.
Okay, we're going to try and... So box the car, we'll try and remove the wheel shield and go again.
Wheel shield, I'm not even sure what that is. They used to have the last few years they had the fairings over the wheels, but that doesn't exist anymore this year. We're getting a slow-mo here.
It's that one. So basically it's something to do with the ducting near the front of the wheels and the aerodynamic thing. It's actually interrupted the working of the steering of the car. So it's not something structural per se, but it's something that is jammed in between the wheel and the suspension.
They're calling it the wheel shield. It's actually the brake inlet, the brake cooling inlet on the inside of the wheel. It's flapping open. They've torn it off in the pits now as Antonelli's in there, and they've sent him on his way again. That will affect the aerodynamics of the car. Could, Damon, affect the cooling of the brakes as well?
Absolutely, definitely. Thankfully, this is not particularly heavy on brakes around here. I mean, I wouldn't want that to happen in some other circuits where we have to, like Canada, for example, we really do need to have good brakes. But off he goes again. He's back on the track, but he has lost a whole chunk of time. I mean, whether he can salvage a point that might be important for the World Championship. But at the moment, George Russell's bad luck has turned into good luck in terms of his challenge to his teammate for the championship, but he'll still have to move up a bit if he's going to score a heavy dose of points, but it's bad luck for Kimi Antonelli.
So let's take a deep breath here. It's a Ferrari 1-2 at the moment with Charles Leclerc, unless anything happens to him, cruising to a victory. He's 21 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton, but Hamilton has got Verstappen closing on him, Harry. He's lapping 5 to 7 or 8 tenths a lap quicker than the Ferrari in front of him. The gap at the moment is 6.6 seconds. Russell is going with Verstappen a further 5 seconds behind. So Hamilton is fighting to keep that second place. Leclerc looks like the winner of the British Grand Prix so far with, 7 laps to go.
Lap 45 of 52. Charles Leclerc leads the British Grand Prix. No more pressure from Antonelli behind.
Mate, no, there's something deeper. I have no front. The wheel is in the air.
Okay, we'll box the car. So this is to retire.
It's admirable from Antonelli, playing the long game. Knows even if he could limp home with just a point, that could prove pivotal in the championship, but staying out for one more lap, and then he'll come into the pits unless there's been another radio message delayed. But out in front then, this is how it looks. Ticks over to lap 46, 21 seconds the gap between Leclerc and Hamilton. It's been nearly 2 years since Charles Leclerc last stood on the top step of a podium. 623 days. That is the same amount of time that Ferrari have had to wait for a 1-2 finish in Formula One. Victory today for Ferrari.
Wait, which place I am?
We are just in P10. We've got Colapinto behind.
And Colapinto is closing behind for that final point. I think it might well be curtains soon for Antonelli. But if Ferrari can hold on to victory today, and it will be Charles Leclerc taking a landmark win, a 250th Grand Prix victory for Ferrari is on the cusp.
I'll see. I'll try to get the points.
Kimi, we're getting track limits for all the excursions we've had.
Damon, it's admirable what Kimi Antonelli is trying to do here, but at what point do you just realise that it's not going to happen?
Well, the funny thing was, even though they fixed or took the shroud off the front wheel that we thought was causing the problem, the next thing we saw was a shot of him leaving the circuit again. So this is the track limits issue. I mean, he's obviously struggling to handle the car, and if there's as long as the car is structurally sound, then I think it's worth carrying on. But he's losing chunks of time. What was his last lap time? Antonelli was. It was a 33.8, which is actually a competitive lap time, so he could actually keep this place and fight Colapinto.
Colapinto then, be quite handy for a point for the Alpine driver. Verstappen, meanwhile, continues to close on Lewis Hamilton. 6.6 seconds the gap, although only about less than a tenth of a second last time out. Verstappen was quicker, so Hamilton able to hold his own for that one, as Antonelli is given a 5-second time penalty, and that might as well call it for him, with Colapinto only 2.5 seconds behind him.
Oh, that's really kind of put a paid to it, but I mean, he's going to keep trying. I think if he can keep putting in lap times, it may be worth trying to carry on. You never know, one of the cars in front may have an issue as well, and he actually recovers a point if he loses it to Colapinto.
Colapinto just on the edge of the points in 11th, Gasly 12th, Piastri, Sainz, Bem in the top 15, Ocon, Perez, Bottas, Alonso and Stroll the top 20. Albon's come into the pits after a long old day at the office. Hulkenberg's out.
I'm gonna go for it, mate.
He's gonna go for it. It's Kimi Antonelli. I wonder if he's been told about the 5-second time penalty, and if another overriding message will come, but he's ticking round for another lap. Lap 47 of 52, Charles Leclerc trying to seal victory here at the British Grand Prix in the dying stages of the race. Let's check back in with Wimbledon. James Gregg.
What did I say about Novak Djokovic wanting to minimise court time earlier on? Well, he might be headed to a fourth set. 2 love up in sets, but Roman Safulin is just a game away from taking the third. He leads 5-2, a break up on the big Serb. And we're not done yet on centre court.
Verstappen's in the wall. Verstappen's in the gravel. He's off. Russell goes through to third. Verstappen is stuck in the gravel. Safety car out here at the British Grand Prix. What on earth has happened here at Silverstone? It's down towards Stowe, right at the Lando stand. At turn 15, is Verstappen out? He is. He's getting out of the car. Verstappen's out of this race. hunting down Hamilton, has come at a cost for the Dutchman. Russell's up to third. Leclerc comes into the pit, so too does Hadjar. Charles Leclerc has a 30-second gap. This all but assures victory for the Monegasque. With only 10 seconds lost under a safety car, we haven't seen what happened to Verstappen, just a plume of dust from the Red Bull man heading into the gravel at Stowe. Steering wheel out of the car, Verstappen hauling himself out of it. And it's all come undone here at Silverstone.
We've yet to see what caused that. We have no idea why Max Verstappen should have left the circuit. It may have been a mechanical failure. We're going to find out as soon as we get a replay. But drama again within 4 laps to go. Lewis Hamilton can pit, but I'm afraid Charles has already gone. As we've watched Lewis Hamilton now coming into the pits for a new set of tyres, but it means that Charles has got new tyres too, or he's got a new set of hards, I think he's gone to.
Yeah, this is Charles Leclerc coming into the pits, and he's got just under 30 seconds the gap, even under safety car. Everyone has to slow down. They'll form up behind the safety car driver, who will head out and catch up with the leader. So this is Charles Leclerc heading out of the pit lane, and this is exactly what the doctor ordered as far as the Monegasque was concerned. He already had it under control after Kimi Antonelli's issues. Antonelli, this might help Kimi Antonelli actually, if he can limp home. He's 9th at the moment now. It looked like he was about to lose a point. He does have a 5-second time penalty though to contend with.
This is not a virtual safety car, Harry, so they will all have to bunch up behind the safety car, which means that Lewis will be right on the tail of Charles Leclerc.
He certainly will be, but how will Ferrari navigate this? Their first intra-team battle. Hamilton will be chomping at the bit for a 10th Grand Prix victory.
They'll let them race, Harry, I'm almost certain. I don't think Hamilton would ignore it if they tried to stop them racing, but the order will be don't crash into each other. Hamilton here has a... Oh, we're about to see Verstappen's incident.
Yeah, let's just watch this. He's heading down the hangar straight towards Stowe, taps on the brakes, turns it in, and just completely loses the car. The rear end goes into the gravel. He doesn't quite make contact with the wall, just stops short of it. And it's almost just loses all confidence in the rear. Downforce goes. Similar spin that he had in Austria.
Well, he's been complaining about downshifts, hasn't he, during the early part of the race. It looked very much to me like there was a lack of synchronization between the computer or the brakes. Here we're going to hear from him now.
This car, unbelievable.
And I think you can tell how Verstappen's feeling about that with his team ready as he walks away. So safety car out then. Charles Leclerc will have the benefit of the track position out in front. Damon?
Well, Russell is second at the moment, so I'm not sure how that happened, but there he is.
Well, Russell, we'll see how that unfolds. The timing screen could be a little late behind that, but Russell then is being registered as second. Andrew?
It's because he hasn't pitted. He stayed out on his medium tyres, so he's gone ahead of Hamilton. Now, I guess Mercedes are hoping that track position will be enough to keep him ahead, but it's not going to be.
Well, they're coming round to, this will be lap, it'll be lap 50 once they pass the pits. There's 2 laps to go, and they've got to get Max Verstappen's car out of the gravel. But the only thing you can say is that Lewis is on soft tyres and George is on 14-lap old mediums. So definitely prefer to be on soft tyres. That should help him, even if you've only got 1 lap.
Lap 50 of 52 then, as Charles Leclerc is caught by the safety car. Let's head back to Lords. Ellie Oldroyd.
England have lost their 3rd wicket. Alice Capsey was just getting going. She hit 16 off and over and then got bowled by Sophie Molyneux, the Australian captain, for 23. So England 68 for 3, and we're at the halfway stage of the innings. They need somebody to put the pedal to the metal soon.
Well, certainly we're about to do that here with the safety car out. It will head in soon. Antonelli radio.
We do have a 5-second penalty for track limits.
Yeah, but that's a joke, mate. I didn't do it on purpose.
I know.
Like, the car was broken.
Yeah, understood.
Like, I wasn't even getting time.
Yeah, no, I know, mate.
That's what Kimi Antonelli is arguing. He's 9th at the moment. This safety car could have helped him limp home. He will have a fast-charging Colapinto and Gasly behind him. and with 5 seconds added on to his race time, or even if he came in for a pit stop, it'd be added then, that would have seen him drop out of the points. And with a broken car, he's not exactly picking off cars ahead of him as he continues his desperation to score at least 1 point from this Grand Prix.
And in the context of Monaco's situation, I wouldn't be surprised if Mercedes launched an appeal against that penalty, which they can't appeal according to the rules, but because of the chaos at Monaco and the unfairness of that with the pit lane speeding penalties and everything, I don't know that they will, but I wouldn't be surprised. Just to go back to the reality now of the battle on track, we were talking about Hamilton and Leclerc potentially fighting for British Grand Prix victory, with Leclerc leading Hamilton, and Hamilton going for a 10th win in this race. But because Russell's in between them, that gives Leclerc a bit of breathing space before Hamilton will get past. It won't take long on his fresh soft tyres, so it could still be dramatic between the Ferrari drivers if the race gets started again. We've only got 2 laps to go, Harry.
Yeah, and we haven't had a message up. Hamilton has also been noted, by the way, for a yellow flag infringement. Now that could well prove tricky if it is elevated, if he's been deemed not to have slowed down enough with a yellow flag out on track. The safety car lights are still on, so I think we're going to go for another lap here. Nothing from race control, so we'll have at least one more lap. We'll tick over to lap 51, so this could really just be a one-lap shootout to decide the winner of the British Grand Prix, Damon.
Massive drama. We love a restart under safety car.
Hamilton has been told, strategy for the next 2 laps, I need maximum power. Well, that would be handy to blast past Russell and to get onto the back of his teammate Charles Leclerc. And Ferrari, will they be forced to make a decision here? Will there be enough time to even talk about that kind of thing? Charles Leclerc, who's, I have to say, has been flawless so far in this Sunday Grand Prix. But Hamilton with the home crowd behind him, and George Russell's got problems. George Russell slowing.
Oh my Lord, it just doesn't stop. What is going on now with George?
George Russell out there with issues. We've got lapped cars overtaking though, so we'll just double check that. We've got away. I wonder if he was just getting out of the way of some lapped runners who were coming through. He's still out there. He is still out there, so I think we've jumped the gun on that one. So I think Russell's still okay.
It's the lap cars, but they're going to have to crack on because this is now lap 51, and it's a long lap to get these cars to overtake and join the back of the queue. We watched Max Verstappen going home. He's a particularly unhappy Dutchman, has to be said, insulting the car and expressing his dissatisfaction in no uncertain terms. But we've got a dramatic finish about to happen now. We've got George is in second place, Charles, who's led for a long time since at the start of the race, in fact. So, we've got until he got overtaken by Kimi Antonelli, but it's now Lewis Hamilton has got a chance of maybe a 10th British Grand Prix victory. It's just 2 cars in front of him and maybe 1 lap to go.
This is going to be a close call though, right at the end. Looks like all the lap cars have now overtaken. Just 19 cars in this race now. Max Verstappen out of it. Albon 2 and Nico Hülkenberg also out. It's Leclerc, Russell, Hamilton, Norris, Hadjar the top 5. Lawson, Lindblad, Bortoletto, Antonelli and Colapinto the top 10. Gasly, Piastri, Sainz, Behrman, Ocon the top 15. Perez, Bottas, Alonso and Stroll, the 19 drivers that remain in this race. The safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap. We will have one final lap to decide the outcome of the British Grand Prix. Leclerc, Russell, Hamilton, Norris, Hadjar, the top 5. Will the home crowd be rewarded this afternoon? Can Hamilton make it a historic 10th victory around Silverstone? Or will his teammate show him the way home? We are just over 3.6 miles from finding out as the safety car stays out and is not ending.
Yeah, it does say safety car ending, but the safety car still has lights on and has gone past the start and finish line one more time. So a little bit of confusion here.
Well, that's surely then all that confirms it. The safety car has been redeployed on the final lap. What on earth? Yeah, race control, safety car in this lap, safety car then deployed about 7 seconds later. So for Charles Leclerc, it will be a safety car finish here at the British Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc on course to take victory at Silverstone, a Ferrari victory. Nearly 2 years in the making for Charles Leclerc. A first since 2024, but under curious circumstances at the end of this Silverstone race. It's Leclerc, Russell, Hamilton, Norris and Hadjar, the top five. Lawson, Lindblad, Bortoletto, Antonelli and Colapinto as they carve their way through the left-hander of Brooklands behind the safety car on this final lap, Damon Hill.
And the irony of race finishing under a safety car will not be lost on Lewis Hamilton and his fans, but of course that is how he was denied an 8th world title in Abu Dhabi. But it looks like this is what's going to happen. They are now cruising around, and Charles Leclerc can actually probably wave to the fans if he wants to. It's always wrong to tempt fate, but there will be no more racing until they get past the start-finish line.
Perhaps then race control just seeing something around Stowe that meant we couldn't quite get back to green flag running. Safety a paramount in Formula One, and if race control weren't happy to bring the safety car in, we weren't going to get the safety car in as they head through Maggots and Beckers. The safety car has been ordered to come in at the end of this lap, so Charles Leclerc will have and take control of the pack. He'll weave left, he'll weave right, but there'll be no overtaking allowed through the right-hander of Stowe. The scarlet red Ferrari shines bright here at Silverstone. The man who started on the front row, took the lead at turn 1, is just 3 corners away from Grand Prix victory. The man who bleeds scarlet takes Ferrari's 250th Grand Prix victory. Leclerc wins the British Grand Prix, his first in nearly 2 years. George Russell denies Ferrari a 1-2 finish and recovers well in this title fight. Hamilton brings it home on the podium for the Brits in third. Norris makes it 2 Brits in the top 4. Hadjar is 5th. Lawson 6th, Lindblad is 7th, with Bortoletto, Colapinto and Gasly the top 10. Antonelli, who at one point looked assured of victory, closing in on Charles Leclerc, denied any points.
And tough times never last.
Let's go!
Only tough people last.
I will finally. This one feels particularly good, even though I wished a bit of a more normal ending, but hard work pays off, and as you said, tough time never lasts, only tough people left.
Tough times never last, only tough people do. Driver of the day as well for Charles Leclerc. So close to being a 1-2, but a good recovery from George Russell as well, who at one point we were saying, Damon, where is the luck for Russell?
Yeah.
Well,
it comes and goes, doesn't it? Very quickly. It's 1 minute up, when it's next minute it's down, next minute it's up again. Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't want it that way. I think that George would have preferred to have had a little bit more pace this weekend, but he's lucked in this way, and Antonelli has been demoted from his point scoring position.
Sticking in there, but let's really try and get on top of the straight line speed stuff. That was a very frustrating weekend. Otherwise, we got lucky with the hard to do.
Yeah, George, I think straight line was okay in the race.
George Russell then wasn't happy with his straight line speed, but Toto Wolff not really having any of that. But Russell waving to the fans as he brings it home to Parc Fermé with Lewis Hamilton in tow. But the number 1 spot will go to Charles Leclerc, and Rosanna Tennant has got eyes on them.
Yeah, the drivers are just coming down into the pit lane area, into the Parc Fermé part of the track, and let me tell you, the fans are running down the pit lane. The lucky guests who've been witnessing this afternoon's action in perhaps more luxurious circumstances than you and I, Harry. They're running down the pit lane, and we can see the cars now spilling in to the Parc Fermé area, being directed where to go. We're still waiting for the top 3 But all the world's photographers are here next to me trying to get pictures. And here we go then. Charles Leclerc coming around the corner, being shown the way to that number one board on the ground, and he pulls up. Everyone with their cameras held high. We've got Italian flags, Ferrari flags being waved by the fans, and the mechanics are running down the pit lane from the Ferrari garage as well. They're there ready to receive the car as well. Of course, there's still a lot of processes to go through to make sure these cars are well looked after. And he gets out of the car, touches the chassis, and then it's a big fist pump for Charles Leclerc as he jumps off the Ferrari and runs into the hands and the arms of his mechanics, who almost fall over the barrier, and they are jumping and cheering. And a Scuderia Ferrari flag is waving and blowing in the breeze as his mechanics congratulate him. Taps on the helmet, taps on the shoulders, holding his helmet, holding on and giving him high fives and plenty of hugs all round. This means so much to the Monegasque driver as he runs along the line of the mechanics, congratulating each and every one of them. And then you can almost see him take a big sigh, his shoulders up, then down, and then he's being congratulated by the other Formula One drivers coming over to shake his hand. Going through the formalities now, just weighing in, making sure everything is legal. And Lando Norris, your reigning world champion, comes over and congratulates Leclerc as well before going off to be weighed himself. Wow, George Russell, he congratulates Charles Leclerc, hands on his shoulders. A nice handshake between the two drivers as George gets weighed, still with their helmets on at the moment, but now Charles Leclerc unbuckles his helmet and starts to decompress after that. A big embrace from his teammate Sir Lewis Hamilton as well, and he's congratulating George Russell too. So wow, what a moment down here. You can really feel the energy and the buzz with everybody descending around Parc Fermé to see what's going on.
Thanks, Rosanna. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. Hamilton will be investigated after the race for a yellow flag infringement. Now, we've not seen it. We'll have to try and get a look at it. But if race control deem he's not slowed down enough with a yellow flag out on track, he will receive a penalty. Ferrari will, and certainly must, try and appeal and argue their case with data, but they won't be able to do that until we get the podium ceremony underway with Leclerc, Russell and Hamilton, the top three.
Which is obviously a bit of a shame if we have these podiums that are representing an incorrect result. So, you know, otherwise you'd have Lando Norris on the podium if Lewis Hamilton gets a penalty, but they need to crack on with this and find out whether or not he's generally third or not.
Well, certainly plenty of Ferrari fans out there in the grandstands. I think more were rooting for Lewis Hamilton, but it is brilliant to see Charles Leclerc back on top in Formula One after a long old wait. And it was certainly a long wait. Nearly 2 years, 623 days since his victory at the United States Grand Prix in 2024. And gets crucial points on the board. In fact, moves up to fourth in the Drivers' Championship. And with that, Kimi Antonelli having picked up no points at all, the gap closes to just 25. Before we get the podium ceremony, we can check back in, though, at Lord's. Ellie Oldjoy.
Yeah, T20 World Cup final going Australia's way at the moment, although if England can get going, then they might just be able to set competitive target. 85 for 4 is the score at the moment after 13 overs, and England lost Heather Knight, former captain, LBW to Kim Garth for 2. We've seen a 4 from Freya Kemp, though, England going 3 overs without hitting a boundary. So Nat Silverbrandt 31, Freya Kemp on 8. They need a lot from these two. 85 for 4 after 13.
Thanks, Ellie. Here at the conclusion of the British Grand Prix, round 9 of the Formula One World Championship. I've got the 1996 Formula One World Champion Damon Hill alongside me. We'll listen to our top 3 from this Grand Prix. They're speaking with Jenson Button.
Charles, you just won the British Grand Prix. How's that feel?
Yeah, it feels incredible. I mean, unfortunately, the end was maybe not the one I will have dreamt of, but I mean, to win after the last few weekends that have been particularly difficult, all the work that we put into trying to get the feeling back in the car, I felt like I had found something yesterday between sprint race and qualifying. but I had to confirm that today, and today the feeling was back where it needs to be. So I'm so incredibly happy.
It's been quite an emotional year for you. A few incidents, obviously Monaco, Barcelona and qualifying. So it's kind of getting a monkey off your back. It looks like you've had a reset and you've come out fighting this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, after Monaco, the feeling wasn't there. I crashed in Q3. Then in the race, we had an issue, and that ended our race. Then Saturday in Barcelona, the feeling was good, but then I crashed again. So that was very difficult mentally. And then on Sunday, we had an issue with the car. And Austria wasn't so great, but here we managed to put everything together. And I really hope I can keep that momentum going forward. And but a huge thank you to the team for having worked so hard.
Nice work.
Thank you.
George, not the most straightforward race for you out there, but must be pretty happy to come away with second on the podium.
Yeah, I mean, that was, firstly, congrats to Charles. Drove a great race, great to be here, always in Silverstone, my first podium, so really pleased to be standing here. Even though, I don't know, it was obviously a very unlucky race, got the puncher, then got very lucky at the end with the safety car. I was glad to see, I mean, it would have been great for the fans for it to have restarted. From my side, my tyres were stone cold, so I was kind of glad to just bring it home in second. Tough weekend, but overall, good to be standing here.
Why do you think that was for you this weekend? You know, your pace not being quite where you wanted it to be.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, in qualifying, we had some straight line speed issues. I don't know if it was there still in the race. But anyway, I'm going to keep pushing. My team are going to keep pushing. These Ferrari guys look really quick, so game on.
I'm with you as well. I wouldn't have wanted the restart with this guy up behind you. Lewis, I'm sure it's a bit bittersweet. Home Grand Prix, you stood on the podium, obviously wanted the top step, and it didn't go your way at the end with putting the new tyres on. But listen to that crowd.
Yeah, well, firstly, I have to big congratulations to Charles. Winning at this Grand Prix is such a special experience, and this is a great result for our team. So congratulations to our team. I just didn't have it today. I jumped the start, already got a 5-second penalty, but Charles had the pace on me today. I struggled with the balance of the car, but I gave it everything, and I'm grateful to be up here.
Yeah, I mean, watching the race, you were fighting hard with George and Max, but it must be promising for you to see Charles' pace and your pace in the race. Can you take the fight to these guys, Mercedes?
I mean, it looks like it. I'm not really sure what happened to Kimi, but yeah, it looks like, I mean, the team's doing a phenomenal job. So we have some work still to do to really close the gap on pure performance. But look at these results. You know, 2 wins for the team this year. This is just fantastic.
Congratulations. Charles, we'll finish with you. That wasn't the most straightforward race either, was it? Kimi was there pushing you all the way. Obviously, he had his issue, which helped you a little bit. And then the safety car at the end. You must have been thinking, what do I need to do?
I mean, with Kimi, it will have been close. He was very fast when he was coming towards me, so it will have been very difficult to keep that first place. Then I heard he had a problem, so I was like, okay, now I have quite a big gap, and it should be straightforward. But then the safety car at the end, and for whatever reason, I think some backmarkers had to pass us, so I did all the safety car time at like 120 kph. My tires were like completely cold, so I was very skeptical about the restart. But it's not great for the fans that are here around the track, but in the helmet I was kind of happy that there was not a restart to keep that win. So yeah, it feels really good.
Yeah, this is some of the best fans in the world, and I'm sure they'll join me in congratulating you on an amazing win.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
A 9th career victory for Charles Leclerc in Formula One. Damon Hill, while 2 Brits on the podium, Charles Leclerc had the better of both of them, and regardless of what could have been with Kimi Antonelli, you can't really fault Leclerc's drive today.
Himself in with a chance, didn't he, by qualifying on the front row, and he out-qualified Lewis, who was an on-form Lewis, and he's found something. And as he said, he's explained, he's worked hard to try and understand what he was losing, and he's found something he feels, and he delivered by qualifying on the front row, and then made a great start, and then where they were always in a position to be able to thwart or at least frustrate Mercedes a little bit. If Kimi had got away into clear air, I think they may not have had such a an opportunity, but of course with their bad luck, with Mercedes, really rare bad luck with their car. Something's very odd has happened to Kimi Antonelli's car, and this time George was the beneficiary of someone else's bad luck rather than his own.
What a bizarre ending, though.
Yeah, it's not the way we want to see races ended, and of course that was a factor very much in Abu Dhabi when they decided to play a little bit fast and loose with the reordering and letting the cars pass the safety car and unlap themselves. But of course they let the cars unlap themselves this time, and then there was not enough laps to be able to pull the safety car in. I was a bit surprised they didn't actually pull him and give him one lap, but they must have the good reasons.
Well, we do believe that Lewis Hamilton is under investigation currently for a yellow flag infringement as they make their way into the cool-down room. Not much chatter between Russell and Hamilton. But I suppose, David, what this does do for the championship fight overall, which was 43 points coming into this Grand Prix in favour of Kimi Antonelli, now it's 25. That's only a race victory.
Yeah, and this is the way the Formula One World Championships unfold. Is still a long way to go, loads of points on the table, and of course it's always in a state of flux. The form is never fixed. It's not like it was when Mercedes dominated everything for so long, or even Max Verstappen recently with the Red Bull. This new formula has meant that people are bringing upgrades, and there was a little bit of disquiet amongst some of the teams. Toto Wolff suggesting that Ferrari had he couldn't understand how they could make so many upgrades given that we have a cost cap. But of course Fred Vasseur countered by saying, listen, we bring our upgrades early in the season, we can see the benefit to us strategically to do that, and they have made improvements in the car and they've closed the gap to Mercedes. It doesn't need much now for them to actually produce a car that's faster than the Mercedes, and they're going in the right direction. They clearly understand something watching a replay. They're all watching a replay of Max Verstappen in the cool-down room. That's what you can hear in the background.
Certainly are. We'll wait for the podium ceremony to get underway. While we do that, let's check in at Wimbledon. What's happening, James Gregg?
Well, we're into a fourth set on centre court. The 24-time Grand Slam champion, 7-time champion at Wimbledon, Novak Djokovic, was out baselined by Roman Safiullin. In the third set, the Russian qualifier took it 6-3. Djokovic still does lead 2-1 and is now a break-up at 3-love in the fourth.
Thanks, James. As the fan invasion begins here at Silverstone to stand and get the best view in the house of the podium celebrations in the championship. Then 25 points between Antonelli and Russell. Hamilton third. Leclerc moves up into fourth. That drops Lando Norris down to fifth. Piastri, Verstappen, Hadjar, Gasly and Liam Lawson round out the top 10. I think it's worth actually just noting, Damon, we weren't looking at what was going on in the midfield too much in that final lap, but Liam Lawson, Arvid Lindblad, 6th and 7th, equals career best. Gabriel Bortoletto, 8th, gets his first point since Australia. And Colapinto ahead of Gasly for Alpine.
Yeah, and Colapinto, that's an astonishing result, isn't it? Because he had a bit of a nightmare weekend otherwise. But opportunities, when you get chaos up the front, you get opportunities a bit further back. But the Racing Bulls, that little battle between Liam Lawson and Arvid Lindblad, there's always pressure on those guys to prove their worth, and Isaac Hadjar is the other guy in the Red Bull, but he's look at that, the Red Bull drivers always looking over their shoulder to see whether someone is going to be replacing them at the top team with Max Verstappen, who is not going anywhere.
Outside of the top 10, Piastri, disaster for him, 11th, Sainz, Behrman, Ocon, Perez, the top 15. Antonelli ended down in 16th ahead of Bottas, Alonso, Stroll. The last car in 19th, Verstappen retiring along with Alex Albon and Nico Hülkenberg. As the podium ceremony gets underway, Hamilton steps out on the third step, Russell in second, and a smile of relief and a fist bump in the air from Charles Leclerc. Nearly 2 years in the making, the Monegasque is back on top, and with it he takes with Ferrari's 250th Grand Prix victory.
Italian and Monegasque national anthems reign out here in Northamptonshire as the Secretary of State of Culture and Sport hands out the race-winning trophy to Charles Leclerc, who I think, Damon, it's fair to say, if Kimi Antonelli hadn't had the issues, we'd have just heard the Italian national anthem again, but for the driver. Do you think?
Yeah, I think they had it covered, Italy, didn't they? This one, it was going to be a Ferrari or an Italian driver, but Charles is sort of semi-Italian as well, I suppose, in the Monaco. Two very jolly national anthems, I have to say, and we always love hearing the Italian. It's a good sing-along.
Yeah, it certainly is. As the trophy is handed out to the winning constructor. And Ferrari, huge celebrations there. 2 Ferraris on the podium. Not quite the 1 and 2, but 1 and 3 for Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, and 250 Grand Prix victories. That's almost as many as Lewis Hamilton, isn't it? Well, you think one driver has won over 100 Grand Prix? You know, that's astonishing that Ferrari have been around since the start of the championship.
They certainly have, and so is Silverstone. They go hand in hand. 1950. Been on the Formula One calendar since the original start date. As the champagne gets celebrated, and Damon, then just a few final words. Brilliant for Ferrari, but crucial as well for George Russell in his continued fight in this championship.
Yeah, it was a bit of luck that he deserved, I think, because he's had a lot of bad luck. But you cannot just ignore Kimi Antonelli. The guy is phenomenal. He's delivering nearly every time, and it was bad luck that he had a mechanical issue. But you're going to have mechanical issues in a long season with cars that are new. But the challenge is coming. Certainly Ferrari's challenge was real. We thought that they were going to be massively struggling here, and they weren't. They were on the pace.
Thank you very much, Damon Hill, for your company as the celebrations reign out here at Silverstone. That concludes our coverage of the British Grand Prix. We're going to go and do a podcast now reviewing all of that. That will be on the Checkered Flag feed, and you can search BBC Sounds for F1 a little later on today. We'll be back to Wimbledon soon here on 5 Live. But first, let's get your latest news with Alison Hughes.
This is BBC Radio.